Just being precautious. Yeah, well, he has a fever, whatever. All right, we're live streaming. Oh yeah, we're unmuted. Chat. Zoom it. Try again. Next. Oops, I just told everybody like this. Oops.
Testing.
I don't know why it's cutting out.
Testing.
Oops. Everybody heard my conversation. That's so nice. That's not the truth. So, we gonna try it again? Sorry. And register. Feels like it's out.
Maybe the batteries are still on. So.
Yeah, no, it's just. We try a different one.
Yeah.
This one's working. It is the batteries.
Oh,
It should work. Oh, it's on here.
testing.
Oh, hold on, that's all. Go ahead, try now.
Testing.
I don't know. Maybe it's the battery.
Try it again. Testing.
It's the battery or something. I'll change it. I'll turn it on. It's WebEx, so all these people are watching, listening to us right now.
Can you turn that? Can you mute it?
But they can't hear what's going on.
Nothing going on.
I understand. So I'll leave the microphone on for the meeting.
Okay. Okay.
So just remember, they can hear us. Just you and me.
Same thing.
I have a question before we start. Did my 13 things get put in here?
Yes.
They did.
Not in there. Not in this one, which is going to mention some of them.
All right.
No, I think it's the mic. I just forego this one and try to figure out.
All right. Good evening, everyone. It is Thursday, October 27th, 2022, 7:15 p.m. We will start the full board general meeting. And we'll start with the pledge of allegiance, starting in arms. Oral.
Everyone hear me? Thank you.
Going to the first-
All right, everyone.
Yeah. Okay, look north.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Remain standing.
Yeah, moments. Well, we can leave it at.
Remain silent. Standing.
Glasses. Well, we.
We're gonna have a moment of silence for fallen first responders and medical and military service personnel, and for all of the suffering and that's going on throughout the world. Okay, thank you.
Everybody. So on the next on the agenda is the gallery session. I don't know if, Ellie Gumas from the New York City Department of Sanitation, let me stop sharing. She's joining us remotely, I believe. We also have City Comptroller joining us remotely. Okay, I don't know if anybody from DSNY, it looks like we have somebody. Do you want to unmute yourself?
Hi, good evening, everybody. Hi, Jeremy. This is Stephen Caruso, the Citywide Community Affairs Officer with the Department of Sanitation. I promise to be quick, just here with an update this evening. I wanted to inform all that we are going to be doing dedicated leaf collection in Community Board 11. So I wanted to provide you with the dates for that. All right, we're going to be doing it on Sunday, November 27th, and then again on Sunday, December 11th. All right, the rules haven't changed. Still the same place your leaves out for collection the day prior after 4 p.m. And you could either put them out in paper lawn bags or in an unlined receptacle. The choice is yours. It's up to you, whatever you would prefer. But just make sure to get the leaves out on those days. And if the community board would like to request leaf bags from the department, Jeremy, you and I can work together and we could have a shipment sent out to you. But otherwise, that's it from my end.
Is anyone next?
Sorry. Yep, I muted myself. All right. So as I was telling the members of the public here in Meisters in person, as long as the recorders are not disrupting the meeting, in the past, we've had people with a flash on, that makes it hard for us to see. You can legally record these meetings. And also, because what we do and say is being recorded, or you should just assume it's being recorded. I know it's being recorded here. We're live streaming. Our conduct statement, all right? We're not. You want me to read it? No. So our conduct statement, Community Board 11 meetings must be held in a professional and hostile-free environment. The following rules of conduct are applicable to members of the public, Community Board 11, and Community Board 11 staff. Any action or behavior that disrupts or interferes with Community Board 11 business will not be tolerated during any Community Board 11 meeting and may result in the individual or individuals being asked to leave. If the action or behavior continues, this may be considered disturbing the peace and the appropriate authorities may be summoned. We do have a representative from the police department here. If the meeting is held remotely, the person may be muted or expelled for the remainder. Repeated violations by the same person or group of people may result in further action by the community board. All public speakers must address the full board or the committee with their concerns. So when you come up to speak to the lectern, these are the board members around this U-shaped table. Last but not least, no electioneering for a position other than an officer. Board 11 is, or electioning for a position is prohibited. So unless you're running for a Community Board 11 officer position, you cannot campaign at the lectern. Okay. So the next, we're taking online registrations first come, first serve. So Robert Press, CB constituent. So Mr. Earl Southbridge is our sergeant at arms. He's timing people 2 minutes, 30-second warning, unless you state otherwise. Okay. Anything else?
No, just that, I'm gonna have to do my part and give you 2 minutes. So if you go beyond 2 minutes, I'm gonna stop you. And I just want you to respect that from me, because we're trying to give everyone an opportunity to talk. Okay, so please do not go beyond 2 minutes. If you do, I'm gonna hit the gavel and I may have to ask you to leave if you continue to talk over your time. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get right into it.
The three items the town is going to propose, 6 feet is not wide enough for two wheelchairs really to cross each other, especially in a sharp curve that's listed. And this would go against them, and they have to talk to them and tell them what the Fox Farm wants, and the board does not sell the Fox Farm what they want. Also, stairs are being put in, so bikes are gonna have to use that wheelchair. Budget priorities for FY 24. First, we're given the budget priorities from FY 22. Then we sent 1,304 pages of all 59 boards for FY 23. We get complained by the district manager that, and he wants a raise. Not gonna comment on that, but I will say that the two, associates really do need a raise because they work the hardest. Now, for the last item, just home. I'm against it for the reason that the board and community still does not have enough information about just home. We don't have facts. HHC has held back facts from the board. We had a meeting in August, the housing committee. We didn't get information until September, before the September 29th hearing, public hearing. We still don't know if they're gonna have more than one building. We hear that more than 50 people will be there, that it's gonna be 50 people every year. It's on the last page of their information. So that means that they're looking at 2, 3, or 4 buildings we hear. And like I said, the board should vote against the just home and for the resolution, and that is it. I'll stop right here. Thank you.
Okay, just home speakers. We're gonna start with Patty Marinello. Everybody gets 2 minutes initial speaking time. If any of the board members ask you a question thereafter, feel free to respond without any time restrictions.
I'd like to thank the board for taking the time this meeting. I find it concerning that Jacoby has stated that they are able to accommodate the additional potential patients and overall rating of mediocre to poor. There are 6 people that wait for days for a bed in the ER and months for clinic. Jacoby has had malpractice through the years, and even a settlement was paid for $80 million regarding his equipment. Jacoby should focus on getting their 4 overall ratings up and reviewing quality controls before they venture into new projects. Also, I visited the emergency room in December 2021. I just received my bill last week, almost 10 months later. There is zero trust, especially with the recent lawsuit. Continuing on the path of trust, Fortune already failed Jordan Wright, one of their former clients that struggles with mental issues. How can we trust a company that is so casual and downplays sexual assault to a Romeo and Juliet affair? I have a 12-year-old daughter, and we live right down the street from this proposed project. I am petrified for my family's safety. In the topic of safety, we are again constantly reassured that this will be a safe residency, that our elderly families and children will be safe. But I would love for anyone from Fortune, the community board, to stand up, look me in the eye, and tell me that if anything tragic happens, they will take full responsibility. Is the risk we are asking the community to take, is it worth the risk of our children and parents? We all know that at some point there will be something terrible that happens, and the apologies will flow in, but no one will be held accountable for the decision. The self-stated mission of Fortune is to support successful re-entry from incarceration, a worthy goal everyone can support. However, with over $133 million in government funding over the past 5 years, I've yet to see any data which addresses the success of their program. It is a very simple question of what we would seem to be a very easy answer to provide. Does Fortune decrease the likelihood of recidivism, and if so, where is the evidence? Some may say this is a simple place of not in my backyard, but that is not who we are. Imagine the results if we were able to sit down with HHC and come up with a solution that wasn't facing 95% opposition, but instead 95% of community support. I am pleading with you to work with us and come up with.
Next week. Next week.
I'm listening.
Please stay muted unless you're going to speak online. Gina Caliendo. I'm sorry if I mispronounced. I can't see the screen right now.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
Orlando, and I've been a lifelong resident here. First time I'm up here speaking. I've asked questions that should not be.
I don't know.
To the depth, just platitudes and We were promised answers 10 days after the last meeting. Here we are a month later and still none. Teachers and principals accountable for kids' performance. We hold hospitals accountable for health. Yet we can't expect the organization that gets over $130 million from our taxes to give the same data. When you're gonna have work done in your house, we find out about the contract. You're gonna have surgery, we find out about the surgeon's success rates, survival, infection rates. Restaurants have to post their grades right outside for us to see. Why are we entertaining this organization when they can't or won't give us data that directly ties to their primary mission? The last meeting did not end very well. Frustration and tempers boiled. One of our community members who was not at the meeting said that they would not have felt safe in a room filled with people and with police officers present. Well, I ask you, think about how the tiny nurse feels leaving her work at midnight by herself. How the kitchen worker is going to feel coming in at 5 a.m. by themselves, knowing they're going to be surrounded by people with a greater than 50% chance of committing another crime. Who will help the residents when someone assaults them? I'm going to report it and give the front desk person to call the police. They won't have the luxury of the call out for police right present. Correctional Health and Fortune want us to approve this project, but they can't be bothered to answer our questions. If that's how they're behaving now, when they want something, what will they do when we've already given them approval? Anyone who votes in favor of this project without actual information about what they plan to do and how they do it has no business being on any board that approves projects.
Is Kimberly Wright here? Okay. Or online, Kimberly Wright? I don't know, we'll find out. Lisa Di Tommaso? Lisa's here. We're going through the attendance or the agenda.
Lisa, you ready? Okay, you can start.
My name is Lisa Di Tommaso, and I'm a lifelong resident of Forest Park. This project is not about that much. HHC wants money without having to use any of their resources. They want to be absentee landlords and have Fortune send a monthly check. It should be easy for Fortune since they received over $130 million in grants over the past 5 years. All that money, and they have no data on their program. That's a key. All that money, and if you read reviews online from employees, low wages, marginal benefits, and unsafe working environment are the top 3. Fortune has lied to us over and over. Stanley Richards individuals would have stage 4 cancer and 1 foot in the grave. Now, substance abuse and mental health issues. Just stated that this is the first supportive housing program for people with behavioral and mental health issues who are incarcerated. So it is an experiment. Joshua Suarez, a former correction officer, interviewed by the New York Post, stress and anxiety he felt every day driving over the riders. Since September, officers were assaulted by inmates just this year. He is 5'10" and 200 pounds, and pretty safe. Imagine a 4'10", 100-pound nurse walking to her car at 2 a.m. As of August 2022, pretrial detainees included 1,512 accused of murder, attempted murder, or manslaughter, 1,015 accused of rape, sexual assault, or aggravated assault. This experiment will include level 1 and level 2 sex offenders. Many of level 2 sexual offenses are against children. We have 6 schools in a 1-mile radius, 2 within 1,000 feet of Jacoby. Fortune Society has not answered our questions. HHC and Fortune keep changing stories. Vote against this experiment.
Is Christy Marmorato?
I'm a medical professional, a wife, and a I oppose this project because I'm scared of the element of danger you're welcoming into my community. Not trying to watch TV and see how the city's falling apart at the city's doing crime. Over the summer on Stummill Avenue, I found two. They didn't take the care to take the 6 years back. Even understand the element. She's afraid is going to be in the car. Okay. So this is not the element that I want to invite into my neighborhood. We're already struggling. Now, Fortune Society, they brag about the community they work on their projects. Does anyone know what kind of property Castle Gardens was? It was a crack den. So yes, the community is going to welcome that project. And on 97th Street, it was an illegal hotel. But the CP7 members of Manhattan, they pushed back and they weren't able to negotiate what type of individuals to their residents. Where was our conversation? We were not brought to the table to negotiate anything. It's like a backdoor deal happening. This just shows what Fortune Society and receives of the residents of the Bronx. But I will tell you this, we no longer want a conversation. They did not allow us to have a voice, but CB11, please be my voice. Please vote no to this project. Vote no to this project for me and my child's safety. Thank you.
So. Hello? I don't know why it does that. So if you could speak a little bit louder. When you speak in the microphone, please speak a little bit louder. I don't know why this got in. It's maybe, if you want to try calling him.
Okay, next person up, Diana Finch.
No,
Lori.
Laurie Peterson.
My name is Laurie Peterson, and I live on Stummill Avenue. I have lived in the Morris Park community for 47 years, and never in my wildest dreams did I ever think I would be standing at a community board meeting, or any other meeting for that matter, fighting to continue to live here. While so many people I grew up with left the area, I stayed to raise my daughter. I stayed to raise my daughter, where I was raised, and for what? To have ex-cons and pretrial detainees living next door to me? This isn't fair to the homeowners who sacrifice everything to buy a home and maintain their home to live in a peaceful neighborhood. Our children will not be safe. Our elderly will not be safe. Some of our elderly are afraid now to go outside because New York City is going to shit. Ted Weinstein from HPD was on one of our Zoom meetings and stated the reason the Bronx is getting targeted is because the Bronx has the cheapest land. Well, it's time to stop dumping on the Bronx. It's time we all stood up and take our neighborhood and borough back. It's time for our community boards and politicians to listen to the people that live here, invested in their homes here, and pay all of our taxes here and then some. We have had enough, and we will continue to fight for our safe community.
Diana Finch, before you go, Diana, I just want to state a couple of things. I want to make this clear, and I really only want to say it once. We're in America. Everyone has the right to their opinion. We are civilized. Last week, I was asked to make this meeting virtual by numerous community board members. I said no. It will be held in person, and it will be a civilized meeting. Please do not disrespect anyone that speaks in favor of the proposal. We've heard numerous members speak. We've heard you're allowed to clap. If you disagree with someone, don't clap, but don't disrespect them. Anyone who disrupts the meeting will get one warning. The second time they will be asked to leave. So please, everybody, let's just give everybody an opportunity to speak. And thank you.
The community board should not be voting on the Just Home project tonight. Just Home plans are still evolving, and both supporters and those opposed need more information. But more importantly, the entire community board review process seems to have been engineered to sharply divide our community, pitting those for Just Home against those opposed, and discouraging the kind of thoughtful discussion we need much more of. The impression is being created that those against are in the overwhelming majority because they have been allowed to literally drown out supportive public statements, many of which are made on behalf not of individuals, but of large segments of the community. The entire process has allowed misinformation and untrue statements, some made by board members, to go uncorrected. Everything from recidivism rates to the numbers of Just Home residents, to program eligibility, to calling the tenants inmates. People with claims against Fortune Society unrelated to Just Home are being allowed to present these unvetted and in a forum lacking an opportunity for the Fortune Society to respond. No effort seems to have been made to avoid conflicts of interest or even the appearance of conflicts. The rushed timing of the review process and the vote seem to be coinciding with election season. Why not pause and let things cool off before proceeding? The board's code of conduct was most egregiously violated at the September public hearing, where the atmosphere of threat and violence grew so intense that Health and Hospitals police were summoned. Video of that hearing has gone viral with clips viewed over 200,000 times, bringing notoriety to the board and the community. At least one ethics complaint has been filed concerning this conduct, but the board wants to vote without giving the ethics committee needed time to respond to the complaint due to procedural issues to be sorted out. For all these reasons, board members should vote no on the motion to disapprove of Just Home and give us more time to do things the right way.
Janice Walcott.
All right, thank you for that. Next, person, Ronaldo, I know you're here, I just can't pronounce your last name, so please come up.
Speak loud, please.
Gee, I have a question.
So hold on for now.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Amy.
So there, I think it was Diana who was speaking earlier, right?
Yes,
Um,
benefit.
she was saying that there was a complaint, and I'm on the ethics committee. I never received a copy of the complaint. And I think it should be shared with all members of the ethics committee.
John Johnson? Are you there? Or Naomi Pemberton, Ethics Committee?
Yeah, Jeremy, to be honest with you, I know we got something I didn't distribute out to the team at the ethics complaint. We had an ethics meeting the other day, and we talked about restructuring and getting more clarity before addressing any more complaints. So I will distribute that out. And Jeremy, I think you did send that to me, correct?
Yeah, I sent to you and Naomi, but yeah, we could do it too for you if you want.
Yeah, next time those things come, let's send it to the whole team. I actually didn't look at the 2 line, so I thought it might have gone to the entire team. So my apologies for that.
Anything else, Sadie? You good?
I mean, it should be like forwarded to everybody, not just certain people of the committee. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, we'll do that. All right? Yeah. Loud.
Hi, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I came here thinking about what I was going to say. My thoughts is that in June, this community was informed of a correctional style facility that was coming to hospital grounds. They stated that first they needed to find a provider, and that was going to take a while. Shortly to us knowing afterwards, a provider was found. My question is was there a bidding process, and what other companies were on this bidding process?
There's a question.
Is there anybody who can answer me this question?
Is there a question in the bidding process?
I don't know the answer to that. Oh, let me. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. We could look into it. Yeah, go ahead.
Because this is something that, so how come the Fortune Society was assigned so quickly without anyone being informed about it? And what is the big process? This is a public project, so who else was involved in this public process?
I'm here in the meeting. This is Janice.
Yeah, hold on. Go ahead.
To my understanding, we were just as surprised as everybody else. If there's any further information, I'd like to know what that answer is too, but nobody else can get it.
The next speaker, gallery session speaker is Roy Mandina.
Silence. Moment of silence for all the women and children in my neighborhood that are gonna suffer when these ex-convicts are brought into our neighborhood. A moment of silence for the women that are walking their dogs and they get sexually assaulted from one of these people. Nobody seems to be addressing this. I brought this up every time. You have to have compassion. I mean, we're all people. I don't understand what's going on in your mind. There is nobody here, and I've asked you, I would put my house up against any of your houses. I'll bet whatever money I have. You know that crime is going to increase in Indian Village and Morris Park when they're brought in. We have the Fortune Society talking with the gentleman that spoke last time, Stanley Richards, spoke about successes of some of the prisoners that have made successes of themselves, but they don't include the horror stories. And I have dozens of bullet points of nurses who've been attacked, doctors who have been slashed by prisoners. When these nurses go to, and they don't even know, the hospital workers are not even aware of what's going on here. They don't know because we go by the hospital and trying to hand out flyers and we've changed the way. And they're horrified when they hear that prisoners are going to be brought in. Why is nobody answering these questions? Is anybody here willing to say that crime is not going to increase, that sexual assaults are not going to go up? Anyone here? You have a duty. You have a vote. You have power. If you know that one single person is going to get hurt, that one woman is going to get raped, that one house is going to get broken into, you got a duty as a human being to make sure that this doesn't go through. Okay? How about some compassion for the hundreds and thousands of homes that they lose fortunes?
Good morning, that's it.
On this.
Thank you, Roy. Rochelle. I don't know why this is.
Rochelle? It's okay.
Yeah, Rochelle Mandina.
And thank everybody for listening to us. We have a lot of concerns regarding our family safety and our food values. I don't have an identity retirement plan. Part of that retirement hope was that my home would still be valuable when the time comes. I do have some information I found. This is from the Department of Justice. No evidence of positive effects on recidivism was found to Fortune clients. In fact, Fortune clients were more likely to reoffend than non-clients, even after controlling for several measured differences among them. Fortune clients typically had long criminal records, little education, no legitimate employment, and few employable skills, and they were dependent on others for housing. Participation rates in Fortune Society, Fortune services were generally low, with 1 in 4 clients dropping out and fewer than half completing the course of service. That's one thing. Their tax file I found from 2019. Their gross is almost $40 million. 22 million of that money is for salaries. They have had lawsuits against, the Sandcastle owners and Queens. And, they won almost $1.2 million in a lawsuit. Sandcastle owners had to sell their property and have no more ties to real estate anymore. They did the same thing through Mayor Adams. Mayor Adams closed some that we mentioned earlier, some Upper West Side buildings due to some kind of code they were violating. And Fortune Society is going to be running the same program they want to do in Jacoby, putting
thank you.
ex-cons and
Okay, Rochelle,
you know.
thank you. Thank you.
I just want to let you know their agenda.
Okay, thank you. So we're going now to hear from the city comptroller, Brad. We're going to do the city comptroller first.
Okay, before we go to that.
Yes, he's online. Mr. Lander, are you there?
I am here. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, great. I was having a little trouble with my connection earlier, but hopefully it's working all right. Good evening, Community Board 11. I'm New York City Controller Brad Lander. I've gotten a chance to meet some of you, but it's a big city, and I'm trying to get around to community boards. And one reason why I wanted to come tonight, and actually I'll just point out our Bronx Director Greer Mayhew is on the line, and obviously if you've got issues related to the Controller's Office, to contracts getting registered, to claims getting settled, to budget oversight, to audits, Greer is your guy to make sure that we can connect. We are working hard in all kinds of ways to make sure that we're responsive to the needs of New Yorkers and that we're making government work just a little bit better every day. That is not easy, but that's what we wake up and do every single day, all 700 folks who work in the Controller's Office. One thing we're fighting for hard right now that I know matters a lot in Community Board 11 is the long-standing issue, and I know people will be like, oh, we've been fighting on this forever, of property tax reform. But I believe that this is a moment when we actually have a chance and an obligation to make a little difference. You may have seen in the Daily News today, Councilmember Joe Borelli, who's the Republican Minority Leader, and I, not always a couple that people might expect to be working together, have an op-ed in the Daily News because Joe Borelli's constituents, like Community Board 11 members, are likely to pay effective tax rates on your homes that are 2 or 3 or even 4 times the effective tax rate of my neighbors and I in Brooklyn or other folks in Manhattan or Western Queens. We've got a system that was adopted 40 years ago, and across the decades, a set of exemptions, of caps, of quirks in the system have made it deeply unfair so that working class communities, outer borough communities, communities of color are more likely to pay an unfairly high effective tax rate. Obviously, what we should have is a fairly simple system where everybody pays the same percentage. And so if you have a home that's valued, with $300,000 and everybody's tax rate were 1%, you would pay $3,000 taxes. If you've got a home that's valued at $3 million, it would be 1%, but that is simply not the system that we have over time. And there's a couple of reasons that people haven't spoken up loudly about changing it. One is that if you and your neighbors are going to pay fairer effective tax rates, then that means that my neighbors in Brooklyn or folks in Manhattan are going to have to pay closer to our fair share. And so it has been treated as a political third rail, but you cannot have an equitable city in which working class and middle income homeowners pay more than their fair share of the property tax rate. The second reason that this has been hard is that it requires change in Albany as well as City Hall, even though it's New York City's property tax rate. It's basically the formulas are controlled by the state legislature. But here's why I think we have a chance this year. In June, thanks to a lot of effective advocacy, a big tax giveaway called 421A, an over $1.7 billion tax break program for large developers, was finally, after a lot of fighting, allowed to expire by the state legislature. And that creates a window to have a real conversation about the property tax reform that creates inequities amongst homeowners and also inequities between rental property and homeownership property. And so what we're doing right now for the rest of this fall and as the session in Albany begins in January is that folks like some of your council member Kevin Riley and I and Joe Borelli and the chair of the Finance Committee in the City Council, Justin Brannan, and the chair of the Finance Committee in the State Senate, Liz Kruger. We are building a broad coalition that's got Republicans and Democrats, that's got folks from every borough that says this is the moment for us to fight for and win a fairer property tax system, one that taxes all homeowners at the same rate rather than some folks less than others. So I wanted to come on and let you know that Greer, I think, is going to hopefully be able to drop into the chat both a great video of Kevin Riley speaking about this issue in partnership with us and how it matters, and a petition that we are circulating and trying to get lots and lots of folks to sign so that together we can build the support we need in the legislature so that we can get the support and bring it to both the governor and the mayor. This is the moment. As some of you may know, there is a lawsuit. And there was a preliminary finding that the lawsuit could proceed because there's a good argument that the inequities in the system don't pass legal muster. And it may take a lawsuit, but we are trying to get it done through organizing in the legislature and at City Hall first. And I just want to let you know that, it's wrong to have a system that overtaxes the homeowners in the Bronx and, benefits me and my neighbors in Brooklyn or, even higher value property owners in Manhattan. Can't run a fair city that way. You can't run an effective city that way. That's why we're doing it. So I just wanted to come let you know that we're working on a lot of other things in the controller's office, trying to get contracts registered on time, trying to speed up our capital process so that we could get our parks and our roads and our infrastructure bill. We just put out a couple of reports this week around the 10th anniversary of Hurricane Sandy about what we need to be doing to make sure our city is more resilient in the face of future storms. But I know the property tax issue is one of great passion and rightly so in this community. Thank you for giving me a little time. If you have time and there are questions, glad to take a couple. If not, I'm grateful just to have the opportunity to come before you and talk a little about what we're working on.
So,
Contact information placed in the chat for the person you mentioned, please.
I thought I saw Greer post it as I was talking, but Greer, can you post your contact information as well?
I'll post it again.
Beautiful. Greer's going to post his contact information, which is how you can reach us on any matters before the controller's office, as well as the link to the video with Kevin and the link to the petition and information about this campaign.
Our chairman has a question. Go ahead.
Mr. Lander, thank you for joining us tonight and taking the time to give us the items that you're looking to work on. So as New York City residents, first of all, let's start with inflation. Inflation's high. Living in New York City, we're already used to high prices on almost anything. I'll give you an example, use myself as an example. I pay over $10,000 in income taxes, and then I pay another $8,000 in real estate taxes, and that's $18,000. If I moved up to Westchester, I'll just pay the $18,000. So why should I live in New York City? What are you doing to retain folks like me so we can stay in New York City? So that's a big question I have for you.
Yeah, it's a fair question. Obviously, it is an expensive city. There are some wonderful benefits that go along with what we all endure and the prices we all pay. And we're a city that's able to offer a subway system, that's able to offer, a set of civic institutions that have helped, a set of things like CUNY that have enabled folks to thrive. But I hear folks asking more and more, what are we doing to make sure those systems are really delivering? That's why we do our audits in the controller's office, try to make sure we're getting as much as we deserve out of all of those systems. On the question of where people are living and whether people are moving out of the city, we're actually starting some research on these migration questions. And I will say, look, if you compare where we were now to 2 years ago, when there was a lot of reason to think people were going to not want to live or work or ride the subway in New York City, in the future at the beginning of the pandemic, we're sure seeing a lot more evidence these days that, the city does remain strong. The housing prices are out of control, and partly because people keep moving here and want to live here. And that is a real challenge. You know, I think the challenge of finding a way to make the city more affordable, even while we keep it fully invested, and we're investing in the climate resilience that we need, in good public schools and safe neighborhoods. That's our challenge. So that's one of the reasons why I'm looking at property tax reform. It at least has to be a fair system that isn't charging you guys a higher effective tax rate on your property than it's charging others. That's not going to make it cheap, but at least it could make it a fairer system. And you're right, these affordability questions, especially on housing, but also on a wide range of other issues, are going to be one of New York's challenges in the coming decades. And that's why we're going to keep pushing to figure out, you know, how we can deliver services just as cost effectively as we possibly can.
Okay. Anybody else? Questions? Board members? Burnett?
Yes. I'm just trying to just formulate my question. I guess stepping back, my question is, it's been a broken system for 40 years plus. Why isn't that reason enough to expedite it as quickly as it should be instead of waiting another 40 years? And also, who is opposing this? Who is opposing the logical percentage? Who is opposing it in Albany and City Hall?
These are great questions, you know, and I agree with you, or else I wouldn't be speaking up about it and here before you tonight and doing this work. So, and I, you know, I don't want to see it take another 40 years. I don't want it to require a lawsuit, because lawsuits often take a long time. I want us to build on this broad coalition. One of the challenges is there isn't really like active opposition in the sense of people saying, I'm opposed to property tax reform. What happens is, you know, there are people that would wind up paying more, like me. I'm one of them. I'll have to pay more in property taxes to have a fair property tax system. And there is a perception that, you know, because that is on some of the neighborhoods with higher property values, that there would be opposition to it. And look, we have some plans to help people who are become what's called house rich and cash poor. You certainly have seniors on fixed income who bought their home 30 years ago, and now it's worth a lot, but they're on fixed income. So you got to have some circuit breakers, some programs that make sure that you implement this fairly and over time. But we have really developed what I think is a thoughtful proposal that would protect those folks. So what you have, I think, are legislators who just see it as a third rail issue. They think it's going to be contentious because a fairer system will mean some people have to pay more of their fair share. And so they just take a step back from it and just say, this is too complicated. I'm going to let other people talk about that. And that is our challenge. It's a little less active opposition and a little more political inertia. But that is why we got to get loud. You know, this is the two most important people here are the governor and the mayor. And obviously the legislative leaders. And I think if we show them, you know, I've tried to say to the mayor's folks, look, the set of people who voted for you are a set of people who are currently overtaxed. So it makes sense from what's the right thing to do. It makes sense for the strengthening of the economy of our city. And I believe it makes political sense for the mayor as well. So we're making that case to the mayor. We're going to be making it after the election to the governor. And like I said, there are some great legislators working on it. Kevin Riley, your council member, Justin Brannan, Joe Borelli, the finance chairs of both the council, Justin Brannan, and of the Senate, Liz Kruger, are on board. The housing chairs, Pierina Sanchez, another great Bronx community member, and Brian Kavanaugh in the state Senate are on board. So we're building the coalition, but I guess what I would just say is, I understand why you're skeptical. I really do. And you decide, but I think this is a good moment to let your elected officials know to sign this petition. Let's do all we can, you know, as we face the next session. They're going to take up that 421A property tax break for big developers. We're going to fight back against, you know, just giving it back to them, but at a bare minimum. if they're going to talk about, the development tax questions, they must talk and act on property tax for homeowners, fairness, fair property taxes for homeowners.
Just a follow-up question. You mentioned 1% for someone who owns a home and their home is worth $1 million. 1 million, maybe their house is not worth 1 million, but that's what the bank says and that's what the appraiser says. So we're basing a tax system on what the banks want the house to be worth. And maybe my house is worth 1 million this year. Maybe it's only worth 900,000 next year. Will my taxes go down? Because we've never seen taxes go down. So you just have to keep things up to date.
Agreed. Look, property valuation is something that I think has improved over time, right? I don't know about you guys, whether you check Zillow or one of these systems. Over the last 40 years, our property taxation system, what the Department of Finance uses on assessed rates, has just gotten more and more out of whack. But property valuation, I'm not saying it's perfect, but that is what you have to base it on. If you want a fair property tax system, you say everybody should pay the same percentage. I'm not saying it ought to be 1%. You set it based on, the least amount you need to cover the costs of the city, given all the other revenues that you have. But everybody ought to pay the same percentage of what their home is worth. And you're right, that is not a perfect system of calculating it, but we have a pretty good sense of what properties are worth based on, recent transactions, based on transactions of buildings very nearby. So there is an opportunity for people to contest, but I think we're doing a lot better at knowing what the market values are than at what the assessed values and the tax rate is, which is really what's on the city and what we're not yet getting right. And yes, it should go down. I guess what I will say is this, a system that taxed everyone fairly with the same effective tax rate, if the value of your home went down from 1 million to 900,000 in that system, your property taxes will go down 10%.
Okay, unless there's anyone else, thank you very much.
Jeremy, I had a
Yes.
quick question. Hey, this is John
Go ahead.
Johnson. How you doing, Mr. Lander? Question for me is if the percentage and the calculation of property tax rates are similar all around, but there are incentives that Brooklyn has and other areas have, does it really mean the Bronx's taxes don't really change because we don't have those incentives? Or if the pot gets bigger by Brooklyn getting more money, our percent, I don't know how this formula would help Bronx homeowners reduce their taxes versus maybe getting Brooklyn to pay more and just more money goes into the pot.
They calculate first essentially what the pie is. And so if the pie is, established for what the taxes are going to be overall, and folks like me in Brooklyn are paying less than our fair share because we've had these caps over years, so that even as my home has become meaningfully more valuable, I've been protected from it. Yes, like what that means in order to fill in the gap, to kind of make the pie whole, is that you and your neighbors wind up paying more. And yes, if I were paying, if I were paying something closer to my fair share, and other properties in my neighborhood and in Manhattan were, obviously there's a different question that the mayor and the council set the budget, and if they were just to increase the budget even more, that's a different question. But if you just take what is this year's budget, what is the raise that's going to be coming from property taxes, and how is that allocated in the system that we have with disproportionate effective tax rates, it really is true that because, someone like me in Brooklyn pays a lower rate than is fair, then homeowners in the Bronx wind up paying a higher rate that is fair. And we have to fix that in order. Yeah. I don't know if that fully answers the question, but I hope so.
Thank you. Someone does. Thank you.
Okay, unless there's any other questions from board members, we will move on to continue the gallery. Thank you very much, Mr. Comptroller.
Really appreciate the time to talk to you. Thank you so much for your community board work on behalf of your neighbors. Take good care.
Is Irene Estrada here?
Welcome, Warren. As a former member of the Region 411, I believe that the people's interests that live and serve in our community comes first. This project is not acceptable. It promises issues that will change public safety, quality of life, and place stress on our residents. An urban renewal project is called. This is a form of gentrification. Our system is broken by giving more attention to inmates than residents, community and children's safety. We remind the board that the people's interest comes first. And we have been protesting, researching, meeting, fighting against this proposal. And it is very clear that in our district, we, the people, do not want this. It is the wrong location, and there are more important things in our community that we need than a problem that will create an opportunity for Rikers Building number 2. Pre-trial inmates will include people like those who murdered Junior Guzman's child. We say no while City Council blankets criminals trying to get rid of their gang database. So while we stand here and ask you, we do not need criminals in our residential areas. While they cuddle the criminals, while the residents vote you out, while they destroy our public safety. Wake up, we say no, not now, not here, not ever. Listen to the people, we are not going away. The board's duty is to protect our residents, and it is important to keep that in mind. Thank you.
We have Tamara Campus.
My name is Tamara Campos. Very difficult for me to has been reached out to an elected official to have my immigration case expedited, but instead of being expedited, it was being derailed. Unfortunately, due to this decision made by this elected official, I almost lost my life. I ended up not being able to travel. I was abducted, sexually assaulted, threatened. My husband and I reached back out to this elected official.
Reached out to this elected official, and they continue to delay the processing of her immigration paperwork. It's a shame that an elected official would rather someone die than to do the right thing and protect Fortune Society. I'm asking everybody here because I've been blocked from the Community Board of 11 on Facebook, and other individuals 30 seconds claim they're helping the society, and they're not allowing me to post certain things to expose the Fortune Society. I would like to have evidence of everything that we're seeing. I could not make up false allegations like these, so explicit, just to exploit a corrupt organization. I'd rather show you proof and prove that these individuals are corrupt and they need to be stopped. Okay, thank you.
Malcolm? Microphone?
On our Facebook page.
So Joanne, you want to speak in the mic?
Myself. Yeah, well, there's two.
Up, down.
There's two Facebook pages. There's the Bronx Community Board page,
and which I run with other people, and then there's the community board 11 page, doesn't really deal with that much. So I don't know which page you're referring to. I never saw anything from yourself, Mr. Compton, so I don't believe that you have been blocked.
I just typed it into my Facebooks.
Can you speak in the mic? Speak into the mic.
So that means I'm blocked.
I'll look into it.
So I think with Joanne, which, let me just clarify what she said. So in 2010, Joanne, 6 months before I became district manager, Joanne Rubino created a group page, which was eventually voted on and became basically the official page. I know at one point, Silvio Mazzella had me create just a normal page because some people are concerned that the group page is very time consuming because I used to be involved heavily, right, early on. So yeah, that's why there's a page and then there's a group. So yeah, at some point, we need to probably sort some of this stuff out.
Mr. Campus, after the meeting, talk to Joanne.
Jeremy, this is Christine Culpepper. Can you clarify? Again, I'm sorry, I don't think I heard correctly. Are both these pages official pages of the community board? Thank you.
Bronson is the official page from the city of New York, and the community board 11, the other page, I don't believe that's an official page. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jeremy.
So the board voted on the group, I think in the group page in 2012. This other page, it's like if you claim a business type thing. So, like in terms of, I have to check, see if it says ours. Yahe would know. Basically, it's Yahe and I who administer that one. So, yeah, the only one that has been voted and approved on is the group page. Does that answer your question, Christine?
So is that a yes, that is an official group page of the community board?
Yes.
Okay. Joanne, if you can do me a favor, please, and unblock me from that page. Thank you.
Christian Amato, which microphone? You have a question for, right?
Is this Facebook group run by anyone on the board, or do only board members have access to run the page? So good question. In my chairman's report, I call them something about the Facebook group and the Facebook page. So if we can just continue the gallery session, because right now we transition from the gallery session to the Facebook group /page. So if you give me a few more minutes until we get to it, I promise to thoroughly discuss it. All right, I'll hold my question.
Any other questions for the gallery session speakers? So yeah, please see her after the meeting. Ms. Rubino, thank you.
No, you are. You're not.
Oh yeah, all right. Go ahead.
My name is Roger Compass, victim of Fortune Society and their subtenants and their political connections. I have all the phone recordings, emails, and video footage to prove it. I was falsely accused and arrested, banned from my home. Fortune Society a registered secretary convicted of sodomy in first degree without disclosing this to me. I have two daughters, ages 7 and 10 at the time. All of me and my family's belongings have been covered in our sewage for years now. All these events have been going on since 2019, and the Fortune Society never offered to make any repairs or rectify this issue until a couple of months ago. Fortune Society wants me to start working on my home where these subtenants still have legal access to, because the marshal's office have yet to execute an eviction warrant. Why would I put myself into a compromising position of being falsely arrested and attacked all over again? I have been blacklisted and banned from media coverage, even from platforms that this community trusts. Also, they can protect Fortune Society. People, if we really want to stop this project and preserve society, not only in the Bronx, but throughout New York City, need hard, concrete evidence to expose the truth.
Right.
I am not asking for a fundraiser or have any political motives. Me, my wife, and our family believe in a safe environment where all can enjoy. A group of people fighting for the community and society values is not racist. But Fortune Society and their media personnel trying to psychologically manipulate people against one another to destroy society for a fortune is terrorism. We as the people who can end this project, end this organization.
Did you rent to Fortune? How did that come about?
Well, I was introduced when I purchased my home in 2015 from a real estate agent, and I thought it was a good choice. An attractive lease agreement. They were supposed to be responsible for anything happening to my property or to me physically. Well, right now, as it is, they're only trying to be responsible for the property, a way to cover up in front of the community. You know, the community is actually getting involved. They do not want to talk about my physical damage, my personal property damage. And it's surprising to me that they want to put individuals who they're supposed to be responsible for, because remember, they signed a lease agreement with me that they're supposed to be responsible for these individuals. But they want to put it into other communities and allow these people to be responsible for themselves. That doesn't make any sense. These people are coming from jail and they're going into hospital. How are they going to be responsible for themselves when Fortune Society is collecting our federal tax money, state tax money to house these individuals? People pay attention to the wording, not only of Fortune Society about not being responsible for these individuals, but also the media. They twist things. I was watching, I was listening. There was a meeting here, I think it was about 2 weeks, 2 Wednesdays ago. And they're talking about these people are critically ill. They're jumping all over the place and twisting words around to make this community look racist. I've never got so much love from one community. To disguise and poison the mind of other people, which has been going on for a long time, is ridiculous.
Which number is it? 2 or 1?
Christians and speak, Malcolm. Mr. Compass, you mentioned that you had made requests to an elected official, what elected official did you reach out to?
I'm sorry, hold on.
And you live here in this neighborhood?
I live in the Queens neighborhood.
Okay.
And to add on that, 3 homeless shelters in my neighborhood. It was years ago in the early teens of 20,000. 20,000, 12, 2013. Sleep with my door open. I just recently talked to my neighbor. Because you know, my house is destroyed and everything like that. But every now and then I pass by. Neighbor told me, said, 2 weeks ago they stole his car. We never seen this before. And then after that, he got back his car after 2 weeks and he installed cameras. And he says almost every night you see people walk down the streets checking the car doors, checking his door. And this is after we had homeless shelters. Now they dropped about 4 more. Look it up, right on Library Boulevard. Right? This is Rockwood. This is not in Fort Rockwood. This is in Springfield Gardens. It was a nice neighborhood and now it's destroyed. And I guarantee that Fortune Society, I can tell you right now, people, I've been going through this for 3 years. This organization, I'm not stupid, and I'm able to read in between lines. They're politically connected up and down the board. And this is
First, I'm gonna say, I have been trying to do the first one. And so, no real experience, but I also do know the process that you described when you're renting to these type of programs, right? And it's a much different process than just building a building and placing people and the landlord taking place those programs. So can you describe to us like what was the process in onboarding these tenants? Because I know you had about two other tenants before this permit you just had, correct?
Sorry.
One tenant who I had 4 years, right? 4+ years, right? And I was working, right? That was working, right? So can you just lay out like just how like what process you did for this new tenant, how you vet your tenants, and what the deal was with Fortune Society? For the tenants. Basically, Fortune Society denied me from getting any type of background. What this person was arrested or convicted for. You know, I went to it at first and I said, you know what, they're responsible for everything. Everybody deserves a second chance. You know, the same thing they're selling as right now. And I thought, right? And like I said, I never had an issue for 4 years. Fortune Society, after this lady left my home, who lived there for 4 years in my issue, they wanted to end the lease early. I think that's when everything went down. They begged me to end the lease early. I said, I can't do it. They told me, they said, listen, Mr. Compass, we're not able to make the repairs right now. I was waiting on them for months. I have all the emails to prove it. And I put my foot down and I said, you guys have to live up to this. That's when I think they decided to find their, because actually, I should actually bring my criminal lawyer, you know, that was representing me when I got my case dismissed. And the only reason my case was dismissed was because of this media. Meanwhile, Julian Page, the CEO of Fortune Society, was sitting on the board. So I'll even give you guys another example that's even more. They claim that I pointed a fire on them. I have 6 cameras in my home. I spent $4,000 for these cameras. The police on their own body cam footage zoomed in. I mean, their own body cam footage. I could hear them when they zoomed in on my monitor, my computer system, and they said, "That's a cell phone in his hand, not a gun." And they still decided to arrest me. And the person who gave the instructions to have me arrested, his name is Sergeant Adrian De Leon. Well, it just happens that one of the Fortune Society's head managers' name is Anna De Leon. I was arrested and I went almost 2 years. They were trying to give me a plea bargain to be permanently banned from my home that I own. Meanwhile, these people stabbed me, the kitchen knife, and their case was dismissed in 6 months due to COVID. When I went to the news media, and this news media reporter, she was very investigative about what's going on. I think the DA got a little jumpy, and they decided to dismiss my case. And you know, this, like I said, this sort of stuff needs to stop. Corruption needs to stop, and we cannot stand here as people and actually support this. I don't care how much money you're getting. It's not right. It needs to stop. We can actually do the right thing for society and use our tax money to do the right thing. We can't make money by trying to destroy society to make a fortune. It doesn't make any sense. For a reason, you know why? Because your children, my children, and everybody's children are going to be involved 10, 15, 20 years from now. Just imagine what the world's going to look like.
All right, well, we got one more. So we allow up to 4 questions. Hazel's the last question.
Okay. I'm so sorry that you went through all this, that really noise. I just need to understand, so you have somebody living in your house for 4 years now. village that they brought in tenants, and that's when everything started. Are they still there?
These people moved out in February on their own. Fortune Society is still not executing an eviction warrant from the marshal's office. They control the system. In my own, and we went behind my back, first with Fortune Society, and did not still make the payment.
So they left. They're not in your home anymore, but they were not legally evicted.
Correct. And Fortune Society.
Is that why you don't have possession of the house now?
I don't have possession. Fortune Society is trying to put a rumor out there to everybody that they offer to help. They're sending me tons of emails. Please submit an estimate to start the construction. And whenever I send them emails, I will not submit an estimate to start construction into my homes. Completely surrender to me. Or attacked, possibly even killed.
Let me one more thing. When they wanted to end the lease early, which of course they have every right to request it, were they willing to compensate you for the remaining months?
No, these are just sleazy petitions. They are grandfathered in. That's what they are.
Thank you so much.
Everything?
I'm gonna take that next since that might work. Can we swap mics, please? Because we use this for the most.
Let's keep it on this side though. Let me keep this on this side. Okay, all right, so now we're gonna move to, well, we have one more speaker, and then we're gonna move to the slips. Roxanne Delgado.
How are you? And Mr. Reno, I think that a group page of yours, which is also blocked, should not be an official page. It's not professionally run. Okay, regarding our Fortune Society, I think overall, Committee Board 11 again failed the committee because I think the residents asked the same questions over and over again, no answers provided. This happened the same with the men's shelter. We had the issues at 2028 White Plains Road. We had questions and again, over and over again, Committee Board 11 failed to obtain those answers. One thing we should all agree with is the facts. And you want to hear about Mr. Countess' story, it was addressed at BronxNet, it's on the real deal. So again, Hazel, no offense, but you should have done your research before asking questions, not knowing the answers. Most of these answers are available, and if they're not available, Committee Board 11 staff should obtain those answers for you. But I'd like to just say, and this is why I would polarize, because we should all agree on the facts. We don't have to agree on our stance, and I like the 30-second warning, please. We don't have to. Hello, excuse me, I'm speaking. I would like a 30-second warning, please. And I think it's kind of rude that I'm speaking and you're speaking. I'm just saying that, you can wait for like 2 minutes.
You can continue.
I'd like to reclaim some of my time, please. I think it's kind of rude because I'm speaking. No, I'm listening to everybody. Anyhow, again, it's Committee Board 11 that doesn't take the information. They did the same thing with the White Plains Road men's shelter, and then they notified the community about the Bronxdale Road diet. And whether you agree, I think you should think about a conditional yes, because this might happen whether you like it or not. There's a crisis happening in Rikers. Their need is great. You may not think they deserve these needs. That's your opinion, and I don't hate you for it. It's your opinion. You have to think that this is going to happen. This is a supposed lawsuit. Even if you sue the city, most cases the city wins. So if I was an Indian Village resident, I would think about how to make this project the least negative impact you think it will make on your community, and think about suggesting changes to this plan, because whether you like it or not, it's going to happen. I'm sorry to say that. Don't kill the messenger. Thank you for your time.
Okay. So the questions, we have Manny Martinez, the New York Public Library. Every 2 minutes, fortunately. 2 minutes, okay? Fortunately.
Good evening, Community Board 11. I do want to say it feels good to be back in person
and see a lot of familiar faces. Again, I'm a people person, so it feels good to be back in person. For the new faces and those that don't know me, Manny Martinez, library manager of the Allison Library, and I'm accompanied by the new library manager, Anais Reyes. So she right now is the library manager for the Hunts Point Library, but is temporarily overseeing the Pelham Parkway Van Ness Library.
Hello, and happy New Year.
So through the pandemic, Allison Library was one of the first libraries that opened up and served the community. So I want to say, thank you for all the support. A lot of new services were implemented at the New York Public Library. Most importantly, one that was asked for tremendously by our community, and that is the NYPL after school homework help. So now we offer tutoring and homework help Monday through Thursday from 2:45 to 5:45 p.m. We got tutors that are on site, sitting at public tables. There's no need to register, and this is for school-age children ages 6 through 12 years old. In addition to that, we just became what's known as a CCP hub. It's a college and careers pathway hub, and this is aimed at helping teens step into college. So their entrance exams, FAFSA applications, anything you can really think about, resume help, how to go on an interview, all those types of services we're now offering at Allison Library. In addition to that, we expanded on ESOL classes. So Monday through Thursday in the evenings from 6 to 8:30, we are now offering ESOL classes. Tons more services. I know I only got 2 minutes. But it's tremendous.
Any questions? We have Gene DeFrancis, Allison Merchants Association.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see everyone again in person. First and foremost, Allison community is with our neighbors. Have the pleasure to walk us home. We already got 2 minutes, but more importantly, we had a tragedy on the 27-12 Williams Bridge Road. I wanted to bring up and put on public record that those 4 homes next to this now desolate lot were also targeted for upzoning. The previous borough president rejected it, saying that we know that these 4 homes would be targeted for sale, and their homes would be in jeopardy because they wanted to build on their property. Crane, for whatever reason, fell through one of these homes this week. I think it's absolutely unacceptable. I think it's appalling that they began work, and I'm calling for full transparency on the investigation. I'm not suggesting any foul play, but I am. I want every nook, cranny, and rock and stone overturned because of the delicate situation. These are hardworking class families in these 4 homes. I know them personally because my mother and I grew up in that building that's on the other side of it. And I take care of my mother every single day, and I overlook the dangerous conditions that these people that are getting city funding and probably state funding as well, I don't know, I'd like to know, working under dangerous conditions and cutting corners. For a crane to fall on someone's home, they are not in their home any longer. It is unacceptable, and we want further communication and full transparency on this project. There should be an inspector at that location 24/7. Thank you.
Efrain Gonzalez.
Everyone, I want to state my opposition to this proposal because I don't even think it's really a real proposal. I thought it was just a dump on the people who have been here, the people that I serve, a lot of them from the hospital that I work in. I got zoned out of Community Board 11, but I work in Community Board virtually every day, and I pass through it. One of the things that really affected me about this was that there was no dialogue, and then the hidden agenda from legacy and somebody who retires, and then it's the guy exposed that they knew about this before. I think what we need is we all need to have a real dialogue. And when the community says no, then we don't go with it. Who cares what the mayor is? It's the people here. He shouldn't be gathering. I don't like what happened in Community Board 11 with the upzoning, because in Community Board 11, I have never seen anything where anybody, there was racial disparities, and they have targeting people that I know, making accusations. If you want to live in Morris Park or in anywhere in Community Board 11, you gotta be able to afford the house if you want to purchase a home. But the residents have nothing to do with how the point that Brad Lander was talking, how they're praised. Residents don't do that, but they can target. Now, I'm just telling you, there's some funny things going on here from members of this board. You shouldn't be going over there to be giving opinions. You should let the people decide who they want to represent them on BronxNet or anything, because you know what? You're gonna find who runs BronxNet. It's the wrong person, folks. Just be careful, because everything that we do in life, will always come.
Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
So Ronald, Colangelo? Colangelo.
I'm surprised there's nobody from the Fortune Society here tonight. Where's their mentor? It's not here because they have decided it's a done deal. First meeting, that's why you had so much problems and everybody freaking out. Because they said it's happening tough. Everybody got up and got carried away. This is the wonderful paper that they handed out, which is like bullets in a gun. Oh, we're gonna check them for mental issues. There's really no guarantees. Not one. Does this program exist anywhere else? Well, it's really no, but they don't want to say that. Okay, 86 would be to treat trials. What did they do? Well, we can't tell you that. You know, they talked about security in their place. Somebody got stabbed at one of their places. They're not talking about our security. They're worried about these guys' security. Will they be offended? Well, it's not 100%. You know, we can't guarantee anything. So they want to risk somebody reoffending, breaking somebody's nose, taking their pocket, and then maybe walking down to the methadone clinic, which is only blocks away, and make a purchase because they can't guarantee. What are they? Are they addicted? We don't know. Okay, we did community outreaches in here. What we did standard practice. What does that mean? What does it mean? Okay, so it's a coin flip. I have friends that work on my design, like guards. They say 50% of these people should never see the light of day. But, you know, we're going to let them out. The in and out system that we have in the city now, in, out. These guys commit 4 crimes a week. They're out again. It's pretty disgusting. You know, I'm feeling very let down by this board. Also members of the Morris Park Community Association, which does not have one piece of information about this problem going on in our neighborhood. Not one. And I asked why. I get no answer. They say we hired a lawyer. Is he here today? No. Where is he?
That's it.
Because those 700,000.
That's it. That's it.
How many meetings did you attend? Into one of them because I was expecting. And what did you say? I don't want to feel know about this. It was on the point. I told everyone, as soon as we found out about it, anybody who was on the hospital board, who was given that information in June, that night, I sent it out on Facebook. Next day, Jeremy posted it on the community board on the page. So don't say that it was Morris Park Community. Where's our lawyer? Where's the lawyer that you hired? We haven't seen the lawyer yet. What are you waiting for?
All right.
Okay, but what are we
So, one at a time.
So members of the community got a lawyer. The Morris Park Association lent that group $3,500 because the GoFundMe money hasn't come through yet. So we went out and gave them $3,500 so they could give the lawyer the down payment. I don't know. You find out, let me know. Is it my fault? So who is it? Who is this lawyer? You're telling me that some Morris Park Association.
So,
Why don't you come to the meetings? You find out what I came to the meetings.
So, all right, so you're asking about the Morris Park. This is Community Board 11. I understand Al wears two hats, but I think that should be handled. Yes. Okay, unless there's any other questions for the gallery expression speaker, we have one more. Janine Timpone. Last gallery session speaker. Speak loud.
Okay.
Into it. You gotta speak into it. They can't, they cannot. No, they can't. They can't. They can't unless you're loud. Remember, you've joined.
Gardens, Morris Park. By now, I think everybody from the board might emailing everybody.
Right.
I've been emailing CEOs, board of directors, councilmen, everybody, no response. So I want to touch upon something I wrote about this before now.
Mike.
Time for everybody to hear me. So, I want to start out by saying, is the staff of the hospital and the union and the nurses aware of this? Because no one is aware of this. When nothing being communicated, we all seem to be alarmed of something not good happening. We've heard that this building is going to be less than 1,000 feet from two schools. A charter, what's going on? There's going to be possible pedophiles walking around. The other day I was at a 49th precinct council meeting. The sergeant said they're understaffed that it is, and the crime is obviously on the rise. How are we going to handle more? The Bronx is already saturated with specialized housing. Why are we trying to bring Rikers to our top hospital facility, trauma center in the Bronx? It's already getting hit hard with high stabbings, gunshots, regular emergencies, let alone COVID and their own internal staffing issues. This cannot be. I met with a few people from other locations, and it's not going well with their tenants. Yes, with all outside fluff of good for the community that I'm hearing from this Fortune 500.
Janine.
They're causing more quality of life issues. Roger Compass is just one example. One hardship he went through with this Fortune 500 company. There are other names that I couldn't state. I'm starting to get nervous because I only have 30 seconds. But Jack Wheeler Hospital down the road asks their students in research, let's educate and lead the true examples of people that want to help the people first, not the rigorous criminals. There are plenty of other projects we can house in this location.
Okay, so that concludes the gallery. I know I don't respond to everybody via email all the time when they want it. And if I don't respond, doesn't mean I'm not forwarding your email on to a board member, especially Janine. I know I don't get back to you all the time, but I do. Yeah, no, I know. Just in case people want to, put that out there. Yeah, no, I mean, sometimes you have to be, right? All right, so chairman's report, Yahya Obi.
All right, the past couple of years, we haven't had the MIPD attend our meetings. They've been attending the public safety committee meetings. That way they have more time to discuss issues in the community. Today, we have the crime prevention officer in the bureau here. So I'm going to give them a couple of minutes just to give a quick summary since the public safety committee meeting was canceled. And we'll take just a couple of questions from community. You can pick up that mic number is that?
Number one, sure.
Number one.
everyone. I'm somebody else's support. I'm Tracy. It's been a pretty long meeting, so I will do my best to be brief. I'm going to give you the raw numbers that I have for count staff for the last 28-day period, for basically the last month, and tell you what those numbers are as compared to what they were this time last year. So, for the last 28-day period, on our index crimes, that being our majors, robbery, rape, grand larceny, auto burglaries, basically major crimes, we are up 35% as 35% up in crime in the last 28-day period. In raw numbers, that means 153 complaints this year, for this 28-day period, as compared to 113 from last year. Wow. The biggest drivers for that is two particular categories. That is felony and assault. The raw number being 35 complaints this past 28 days as compared to 22 last year, which translates to a 59% increase. And grand larcenies, the raw number for that being 55 complaints as compared to 36 complaints last year.
Can you speak closer to the mic, Tyrone? Closer to the mic.
Boston. You were lost today.
Grand larcenies, 55 complaints of grand larcenies in the past 28-day period as compared to 36 this time last year, which translates to a 52%. We are also up in the categories of robbery and grand larcenies of automobiles. I'll give you the year to date, that being the year till today, and give you what's compared to this time year to date last year. Total, we are up 28% in crime for year to date over last year. The raw number for index crimes is 1,430 as compared to 1,115 last year. So 1,430 as compared to 11,115. In this particular categories, it's basically the same story. The biggest drivers are felony assault and grand larcenies, with honorable mention of grand larcenies of automobiles. We've had 278 complaints of that as compared to 207 last year. I don't have this, but in addition to that, our arrests are up. I don't have a specific number, but basically our arrests are up in about all categories: robbery, burglary, felony assault, anything like that as well. I'm going to keep it to that. If I can go on for that. So thank you.
Yeah, just remember, the closer you speak, try to keep a little gap between your mic. All right, Chairman's report.
And thank you for that, Officer Lewis. Did have 5 cars stolen in 5 days at the same location. It was crazy. It was one of them was right there when it happened. You know, the guy came out. He's like, "What happened to my car?" I'm like, "I don't know." But I was in the video. And the guy stole the car from behind me. I didn't know someone was stealing the car behind me. So, all right. We got a topic that I'd like to discuss today, and that's social media. So we have, let's clarify, we can use the word Facebook page. There's a Facebook group, there's a Facebook page. So please don't say page when you're talking about the group, just say group. So Facebook group, Facebook page, all on board? All right, so we have a Facebook page that we're live on right now. I'd like to make it an official community group Facebook page before we go on to discuss the group, because the group is going to take a little more time. So I'm calling for a motion to make the Community Board 11 Facebook page an official page of the City Agency of Community Board 11. Do I have a second? Seconded by Malcolm. Discussion? Go ahead. Is the page maintained and monitored by board members? Now it's by board members and staff. No, we'll get to that, that's the group.
With the page.
Richard.
Richard? Which one is the official page? Is it the official? You said you want the page to be official. Correct.
Well, in lieu of the group or?
No, well, we would like to have both. We'll do whether it's not, so you want both to be official. Because with the group, any members of the public can share something, like the library, they always share good stuff. So we allow them to post certain things. But the page, only the admins, usually me and Jeremy post things on the page. So we'll add more members to that, with the next discussion, because we're trying to create a special committee for it. Any further discussion for the page? Anyone, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Any abstentions?
But everybody online heard that because we got board members. Everybody hear that? The motion we're voting on? Jeanette Adich, I think Janice Walcott, I forget Ellie Rodriguez, John Johnson. Did you hear that? Just want to make sure we're not missing anybody in case you have questions, comments. Oh yeah, you know what? They all muted because somebody was not turning their microphone off. Hold on. So I muted them all. Thank you, Veronica. Okay, I'm going to allow you to unmute. Sorry about that. I don't know if you had any questions for the gallery session speakers. Somebody's sharing their whiteboard. Can you please?
Oh, Jeremy, I didn't hear what you were talking about.
So
I heard the discussion, Zelly.
Yeah, so we have two Facebook, there's platforms. One is official. Yahe made a motion to make it, the other one official as well. A page versus a group. Nobody here and everybody here in person is in favor of making the page official in addition to the group, which is already. Okay, so.
So am I.
All right, please mute yourself unless you're talking online.
All right, Jeremy, I go along with the motion. This is
Okay.
Sandy.
All right, Malcolm's going to speak now.
Naomi, to go along with the motion as well.
Okay, yeah, if you're against it, that's all I really need to know at this point. I just want to make sure you got your voice in if you need to. Malcolm?
Is it possible that we put official in front of the official page? Just so people probably to know that we're in this page,
Yeah. What we'll work on is getting that blue check mark, so we're official. Okay, so motion passes. Now let's get to the group. Okay, so we know where we are with technology. We listen to the public here. You have an opportunity to speak at the gallery. You might have some good stuff for the community that you want to share on our official platform. So I've gotten a couple of requests, to basically make that group unofficial. But when we lose something, we lose the voice of the community. Now that group, it's very hard to manage. I try my best. Joanne tries her best. I don't know how she does it, but she replies to me at like 3 a.m. But it's very time consuming. We try our best. Sometimes we overlook things. Sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes mistakes are brought up to us and we try to correct them. So with that being said, to answer some of the questions from earlier, we do have a couple of community board members that are admins on the group. They usually approve or disapprove posts. We do have a couple of members from the community. They're community members. They have not been appointed yet. That help manage the group. They think they've been managing it for a decade. We know we are official community board members appointed by the BP or the city council member. Any member from the public can request to be on a committee. If you are on a committee, you are a non-voting member of that committee. But in order to be on that committee, the chairman would have to appoint you in writing to make it official that you can be on the committee and serve on that committee. So, we are open to that. We don't close the door on that. So now with the Facebook group, because we're facing so many challenges with it, it's a public group. We do have, rules in that group. If you say something that violates those 7 rules, you will be warned, hey, you just violated rule number 1 and 3 and 7. If you do it again, you're suspended for 30 days. If you do it again, you're suspended for 90 days. If you do it again, then you're permanently suspended from that group. What I found out is that we can't suspend someone permanently from a public group. So we can not allow you to post, but you can still view it. So that's where the transition is going right now. So in our bylaws, in Article 5, Section 4, that allows the community board by resolution to establish a special committee as we deem necessary and advisable. So I'd like to create a special committee to manage the Facebook group to help us with that because it's a huge responsibility. And I will ask for folks to send me an email requesting to be on that committee. If you raise your hand, just get ready for that responsibility, because as soon as we get a couple of people to raise their hands, I'm out of that group, and I'm willing to drop that responsibility because it is a huge responsibility. So that's where we're transitioning now. I'd like to have a special committee. So I'm calling for a motion to create a special committee. I would like to call it the Social Media Committee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Veronica. Discussion. Now, this is the good part where everybody gets to discuss what they want in the committee and how they want to run the committee. But I think the committee, once it starts, it's gonna need to be tweaked as it goes. So don't expect perfection. For those folks complaining against the community board group, it's not gonna get fixed next month. It's gonna take some time. It's a transition. We're transitioning to something officially official, if that makes sense. Debbie?
Is the social media committee for both page and group? Or just page or just the group?
For both. You will be taking the responsibility of both managing the page and the group, because while Jeremy tries his best to share things on the page, we still need some more activity on there.
Can I say something? Yeah. So would it be prudent or wise to say who's currently administering the group page is going to be on that committee? I mean, unless you want to take yourself off, I guess you could.
So for example, if we have 4 people here that raise their hand, right? They want to be part of the social media committee. I will appoint a chair of that committee. And if we have any members of the public who would like to request to be appointed as public members, we can also appoint them as well. But they will have no voting rights. Sure.
I just want to be clear that what's the difference between the page and the group? So the page is just like information, and then group is to hear everybody's voice from the community, correct?
Right, and not just from the community in general, it's also from community board members. I remember a couple of years ago, I posted a survey. What are your top 5 issues? And I listed crime, homelessness, and all these other issues. We have 3,500 members of that group. Vote. Tell us what your issues are. It's a great platform to have, to hear you. Because sometimes you don't want to speak. Sometimes people hate the mic, like the lady. She doesn't like to speak on the mic, but she can click on a vote on a survey. So, any other discussion? Right, all in favor? Any anyone against? Objections? Any abstentions? All right, motion passes.
Check on.
Let's check online, correct. Now, the online system is not perfect. We transitioned to a hybrid situation where we have to have a quorum in person before we can continue the meeting. So the online folks, please be patient. This is, part of, the sacrifice that you have to make when you attend something virtually instead of being here. You don't get the full experience. Anyone online?
Anybody from anyone online?
That's
I'm fine with the.
Me too. So am I, Ellie.
So the motion passes. Again, I'll unanimously, and I'll expect to get some emails from folks to volunteer. If no one volunteers, I'm gonna appoint some people. So it's up to you. I'd rather get 4 or 5 people that volunteer. April?
I just wanted to raise my hand, but please don't oppose me because I'm a Facebook junkie and I'm on my pages. So please, I can't take on something else on Facebook.
So why are you raising your hand then?
I taught out of college for 3 years, and the person that sits on the back is the one that I pick on the most. So you just, if I don't get 4 people, I'm picking you, April.
Yeah, you'll get 4 people. Malcolm is volunteering. Debbie Conlick. Joanne Rubino.
Just send me an email, please, so I have it on record. And April, you're safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rocky, you wanna try that, Mike?
One of the most impressive applicants we've had before us. Art holding. Now you're.
Hold on. Wait, Sandy, I need you to stay muted. You need to stay muted unless you're talking. Thank you.
I'm not talking. Okay.
All right, thank you. Stay muted, please.
Treasury report has been submitted to the staff.
Bring it closer. Making sure.
The treasury report has been submitted to the staff. It will be distributed and it will be available for the public if anyone's interested. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll be happy to answer anything. Thank you.
Hazel. Yeah, Hazel. Yep. All right, we're gonna vote on the minutes now for the September 2022 full board meeting. Hazel?
The minutes were distributed. I don't think that they had a chance to look them over. So I am going to make a motion to accept the minutes of the September 22nd, 2022 full board meeting.
Second by Junior Campbell.
Yes. Do we have any discussion? Anybody online? Do we have anybody opposed?
So no objections or abstentions for the September 2022 full board meeting minutes?
Thank you. I was just gonna ask.
Sorry,
Any abstentions?
I thought you said that.
Thank you very much. Motion is carried.
Unanimous. All right, so that's Secretary's report. So my report, so first thing everybody needs to, I brought this up to leadership a couple times now. So we don't have a set policy in our bylaws, maybe we should, when we cancel meetings. Because we don't want to forget to send out a notice, right? As chairs of the committees, if a notice doesn't go out, whether it's a robocall or an email, please remind the staff. And also, I know the calendar was decided last week. It's published. We're tweaking the transportation public hearing. There's a public hearing with transportation. It's non-mandatory public hearing, but it is going to be the 7th online. DOT will be there regarding the Bronxdale Avenue road diet. I'm sorry if I'm stealing your thunder, Rabbi. And the White Plains Road municipal parking lot, they want to reconfigure that, DOT. So if you want to come and speak, if you want to listen, if you want the board members to hear and DOT, what you have to say about the Bronxdale Avenue road diet, that's November 7th, Monday the 7th. But check the day of, please check the day up for the agenda, the calendar, right? Because if it's not online, first of all, we need to know if it should be online, right? Check the links. right? Because at this point, we're for the most part in the habit of making sure the WebEx links work. I need you to check it because when I've checked it, I accidentally started the meeting and then Bernadette's committee, I had to quickly republish her agenda because that meeting was over because I checked it 2 days before. Robocalls, there's no policy for this stuff, but the policy I've set at the office is here is my witness, 10 a.m. the day before the meeting. You should have had a robocall yesterday morning at 10 a.m. I understand that most people call the office. What did you call me for? Please, 10 a.m. If it's a 10 a.m. call, generally speaking, it's a robocall. You should get it the day before. If your meeting is on a Monday, 10 a.m. on Friday, all right? And if it doesn't go out, that should be your first sign that something is amiss. And feel free to reach out as soon as possible. If you're expecting a committee meeting, full board meeting, any type of meeting, run by the community board. So robocalls aside, I could stand up here for hours, but one thing I brought it, the leadership committee, which Yahi's still gonna complain about. He asked me to create a brochure back in July. I've been dragging my feet because, you know, we've had Just Home, we've had a lot more things pressing. But he wants, for example, when I went to the Bannis Neighbor Alliance, not intending to be a speaker, but just going there, we dropped down a flyer. So I'm gonna pass it to, not everybody has seen this, not everybody's a leadership committee member. I got the backside, I don't have the inside done. Feel free to make suggestions. So this is gonna go down to Joe Thompson. Well, Joe's already seen that thing, but once it hits Joe, if you can bring it back, and we'll take it down to Richard. So, this is something I modeled after Community Board 11 in Manhattan, which paid $6,500 for this. So far I'm doing it for free.
What's the community board members inside maybe?
Yeah, I will, I'm gonna tweak the inside when I get time. All right, so unless there's anything else, I gotta move on. It's almost 9, it is 9 o'clock. Bernadette. Is the light on over there? Is the light, no, is the light on? Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Yep. It doesn't look like much, but it took a lot of time to learn how to fold it and all that stuff. So, unless there's anything else, leadership committee, Mr. Albert D'Angelo, or committee reports, we're gonna move on to.
You have 3 motions to discuss tonight and to vote on. First one, to recommend approval of the Bronx, ramp of the Botanical Garden. Jeremy, you want to give us a little information about that?
So, Lisa, I know you talked about the garden ramp. Are you in the meeting still? Lisa Soto, Parks Chair?
Yes, yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I have you on speaker.
Okay, great. So, Parks Department came to the our committee meeting last week, the week before, and presented the preliminary design for the ramp that goes to the Botanical Gardens from Bronx Park East. Currently, it is not ADA accessible, so the purpose of the renovation is to make it ADA accessible. And so they're building a ramp. They're building another path alongside the current path. And that ramp will be ADA accessible. And then the current path, they're going to add some steps to it to bring it up to code, although that won't be ADA accessible. So that is the proposal. It was emailed out the presentation was emailed out to all board members, so you should have all received it. And that's pretty much it. If there are any questions, I can try to answer. Anybody has any questions?
I think Al D'Angelo has one.
The leadership committee voted 100% to approve the ramp. So I need a motion now to approve that ramp.
Well, motion's live.
Joe, seconded.
Second.
Is there anybody opposed?
I approve the motion also.
Do you want to make
Approve the
a
motion.
motion? This letter in support of it? He doesn't have to, but if you can make that. So we got a,
Park East Committee Association approves it, it's a letter of approval. We have no.
To motion also.
No one opposed?
No opposition, no,
The motion carries.
no abstentions, unanimous.
The second motion, support the City Department of Transportation recommendation to convert Rhinelander Avenue to a one-way street. It's a small area of Rhinelander. I'll let Ellie describe it, because I think he was the forefront of that.
Back, I think 2017, I made a request with the police, Bronx DOT Commissioner to convert a very small piece of Rhinelander Avenue to a one-way street. It's the narrowest part of Rhinelander Avenue. I live on, close to the corner of Rhinelander Avenue. So it's a pretty wide street, right? It's two ways. When you get towards the end, after White Plains Road, between White Plains Road and Victor Street, it's extremely narrow. And I've gotten stuck behind delivery trucks, behind USPS. Sometimes I recorded a video, but it was too large to share. There was no one double parked, but no one can move, only one way. It's all close to impossible for someone to stay on one side and the other car to pass them. It'd be very, very tight, you know, but so that's the reason I mentioned to the commissioner. We thought about putting no parking signs on one side of the street or no stand-in signs, but the community would lose parking. We thought about the impact of, you know, would it cause traffic? We don't know that. So we asked DOT to come and take a look at it. So it was voted, I think, a couple of years ago. DOT came back and they said it was feasible. We had a few more questions. DOT came back and they said it's recommended that it be converted to a one-way street. So here we are now. I know some folks have spoken against it, but the majority of the people there are in favor of it, especially the businesses that are there. And I guess they suffer the most in the residents. Which way? Good question. So we thought about which way, and it's going to be westbound. So you're going to keep going north, cross White Plains Road towards Unionport. So you're going up the hill, basically. I've heard some community complaints that say, well, Van Nest already goes that way. You need a one-way street that goes the other way. Well, we're not creating a whole one-way street. It's the only street in the community board that's 30 feet wide, but somehow is two ways and has parking on both sides. It's the only street. Give me one other street that's 30 feet that has that capability of handling that type of traffic. And it's a corner. So if you want to turn, I've seen accidents happen as well. I've gotten videotapes of accidents that have occurred. So that's where we are.
Again, leadership committee voted unanimously to approve. Yes, discussion.
I just would like to point out that a question that was asked from myself and also the Valley State Alliance was, when you are on, and I think it's Amethyst Street, will you be able to cross over to Amethyst Street, even though it was going one way westward? And the DOT commissioner said yes. So that was a concern. I just want to voice that because he did say we will be able to go Amethyst, crossing over Rhinelander, and it's a little S-shaped. And that would not be deterred. I just wanted, for the record, to point that out.
Thank you, Brenda.
So it doesn't need to be seconded. It was approved in committee. It's discussion.
Anyone opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
The motion is unanimous for converting Rhinelander to one-way.
Third motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, Al. Go ahead.
The third motion, again, unanimously approved by the leadership committee. A motion to object to New York City Health and Hospitals Just Homes Initiative at Jacoby Medical Center. Do we have any discussion? Yes, Mr. President.
Malcolm, then Richard.
Go ahead. Malcolm first, and then Richard.
First, I want to say, I do think that the process in which we go about these proposals is jaded. I don't like it. I don't think that the community is giving a stake or equity in these decisions. I don't think that the city is giving a stake or equity in these decisions. But I do think that we need to be more understanding as to how we approach these things. I don't think that we have the full information. I'm not a person that can sign my name on a contract or anything without knowing exactly what am I voting for and what am I voting against. I do believe that in order for us to have true equity and true stake and to really take it to the city and to say that we need to have a discussion whenever you want to have a project in our community. And to say that if you want to build something in our community, you have to come to us. We must demand that change. I don't think we have a vote there. I would like to make that motion to delay the vote so we can further investigate and to further ask questions as to what this process looks like, as to how this contract's come about, and as to
Yeah, I got it.
what the community to further,
I got it.
further ensure that we are being brought to the table to have this conversation.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. I thought you were done. Go ahead. So hold on. Before you make another motion, there is a motion that's live and has to be voted on first. So yeah, Richard?
I want folks to understand as well, and Malcolm, I echo a lot of your comments, but whatever we decide today, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, they can still do anyway. We're just doing a recommendation. I would like to, who does this follow? If we say, yes, we want this to happen, or no, we don't want this to happen, can they still build something there? Okay, we're strictly advisory. That's why I want folks to really understand. We need to talk to the elected officials. We need to knock on their doors, and we really appreciate this and the passion. I'm on the housing committee with Hazel and Malcolm. So we've been dealing with this for months. Not this specific deal, but it's a bunch of stuff. And then we talk about how we want folks to not only come to these meetings, but not on your elected officials' doors. But the strategy should be a wide net, together we can make some progress, but that's all.
So the motion should go, whatever we decide should go to, go ahead, so, go ahead.
The housing committee, a lot of heard from the community, and I heard you guys loud and clear. When we first found out about this, and as soon as I got that little stupid pamphlet that they gave out, I called the number and I spoke to Jeanette, I think that was her name. And I asked her a whole bunch of questions. Some of them she answered, some of them she didn't, some of them she answered, some of them she didn't. The ones that she answered turned out to be kind of lies because their stories kept changing. Every time I kept asking them the same question, they would give me 10 million different answers. So we never, ever really got an answer from them. And I want you guys to know, this is not our idea. We're not to blame for this. This came to us. These people brought this issue to us, to not just to the board, to the whole community. I agree with Malcolm in the sense that we don't have the full information, but I don't think we're ever going to get the information. We have been, we've been dealing with this and other issues, and I don't know who was that said, yeah, people, they are dumping on Bronx because we do have shelters, we have group homes. Everything that you can think of, they bring it to the Bronx. And personally, I don't really think this is a great idea. The one question that I did ask her, I asked her how, what are the level of crime that these guys committed? She said to me, well, we're not screening by that. We're screening on how sick they are. So I said to her, so you're going to just put anybody in this building without really considering why they're in jail? She said, yeah. So then another question I asked her was, well, what happens, because these people, like somebody else said, one foot in the grave, according to what they were saying to us. So I said, well, what happens when, that particular person passes away? Are you gonna bring in another inmate? She says, well, yeah, we're probably gonna do that. We're not even sure. So it was just that kind of a back and forth. These people never gave us the information. And we're still asking the same questions that you're asking. So it's not like we're sitting up here going to these meetings and not doing anything. We are trying to get the correct answers for them to us. And like I said, I don't think they'll ever get that.
Notice the many members of the community have sent questions in to be answered and they were never answered. We have contacted our elected officials numerous times and they haven't remembered us yet. So, we're going through the whole due process that we can think of has been done. And we've got to go to the party. The community has got to go to the party. So, is there any other questions?
So I understand some of the things.
Okay, Afterburn at Yahoo.
Okay, the other thing that I think a lot of people are wrong about and we'll never get the answer to is why would they want to put permanent housing there? Why permanent housing? Why not a rehab? It's like Calvary, when you go in there, if you get stabilized after 2 or 3 months, you go home. And at this point, nobody has gotten an answer as to why they would want to have permanent housing. That to me, I've never, money, I know, well, and everything leads back to the money. But that's the other thing I just wanted to point out, that I feel that there should be a lot of pushback and questions, but we're not going to get the answers to those questions.
All right, yeah.
So we're basing our, let's say, for example, we have 70% of the information, right? A lot of the people have mentioned, we don't have all the information. Let's say we have 70. We're basing our vote on the information that we have now. And we're not going to delay a vote because maybe that's what they're looking for. When we first heard about it in the summer, we're like, well, why would they bring it up in the summer? The community board is not in session. We were gonna have a special meeting just to address this issue. So I don't want it to wait any longer. I've heard, we heard from the community. 2 weeks ago, I had an experience in Jacoby. I went there, I took my son, he's 15 months old, and he had 106 fever. So we hospitalized him, he gets there, they're like, it's 105.6. I'm like, okay, well, it went down a few digits here. So here's my concern. We went there at 11 p.m. At 12 at midnight, it was decided that he was gonna be admitted. My wife had just had surgery 2 days prior. She's supposed to be resting. She's not supposed to be sitting. She's supposed to be laying down at 45-degree angle. So we waited 9 hours for a room, sitting in a chair like we're sitting now, because I decided to give the bed over to my wife so she can sit at the 45-degree angle while I hold my son for 9 hours in a chair that you're sitting in. So how about like months ago, there's a children's hospital on East Gun Hill Road. How about the children's hospital? So I know they have an emergency department, but just separate the kids from the adults. Have a children's hospital. So based on my experience, just 2 weeks ago, to sit in a chair and wait 9, even the doctors were available. The doctors came from upstairs. They said, hey, we're the doctors. We're going to be seeing you, but unfortunately, we don't have a bed for you. We don't have room. So I'll be stopping by to see you from upstairs, but we're hoping you make it upstairs sometime during my shift. You know what? I never made it during that doctor's shift. I made it at 9 a.m. We finally made it upstairs, and it's not fair to our community that we have to do something like this. This is just one example. I know we have, all of you have tons of other examples, but I just needed to share that example.
Any other discussion?
Wanted to have.
Oh, Oral has something. Oral.
No. Agreed, all, and agreed, all you guys. The problem is that even as a contractor, right, or an architect or an owner, if you're requesting information from someone and they're not giving it to you, you fire them. right? You get rid of, you're not gonna use them, right? So if they're Just Homes is not willing to give us information, then something's going on. And you want to use them. That's the problem. I understand your point of view, but they're doing a due diligence and they're not answering, so you get rid of it.
Any other discussion? Anyone opposed?
So restate the motion, please, just so everybody's
The
clear.
motion. The motion is to object to New York City's health and hospitals and Just Homes, the initiative at the COVID Medical Center. Anyone opposed? Any abstention? Mr. Gray, you opposed? One opposed? You opposed?
I
So-
oppose.
So we need names. We need names.
Christine Culpepper, I oppose.
So you want to do it or you want me? So can you say the names out for the record?
Christian?
You have to do the roll call.
Miguel Dyer.
Christine. And Christine.
So hold on, so, too much. So we have 5 people opposed to the motion. So the motion is motion to send a letter of objection or email of objection. We're gonna send it in writing. The question is who? I have an idea, but 5 people are against the motion, so, Christian, Amato, Michael Dyer, Malcolm Gray, Christine Culpepper, Averill Francis. Anybody else online opposed? And then we'll go to abstention.
Abstention. One abstention.
Cynthia Rodriguez is abstaining?
Abstention is
She's
false.
recusing. She's recusing.
Abstention false.
Averill has a question. We're voting, but. Go ahead.
Okay, Jeremy, as part of media, my duty is to look into a maximum question is as severe. Who is Just Homes? And this project that you got. There's a lot to look into, there's a lot of questions I need to ask, and I need to do my own investigation on this. So, I mean, if I something to do now, I was sick at the last meeting, I wasn't here. I'm just looking into things for. I'm not against what's going on here. I am against it. I'm not against you. But I also have to look into this some more. It's very disturbing. So I'm not sitting here opposing, but I'm just saying I am going to look into this more also.
You want to abstain or?
Abstaining? Yes. Okay, so I'm not against you. I'm with you. But I'm going to be working on this myself.
Yeah. Do you?
We have 5 against, we have 1 abstention. 4 against.
4 against. 2 abstentions. Oh, no, she's recusing herself
1 abstention.
because of employment. So it's
Anyone
passed.
else is in favor, motion carries.
So the motion to send a
Letter of objection to the open.
Let's, hold on. Get on the table. Okay. He's down there.
repair the mic. So excuse us.
Please.
All right.
Good. Good. That's your warning. That's your warning.
Please sit down.
Second time.
Everybody sit down, please. Everybody sit down, please.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, we're asking, okay, this is a disruption of the meeting. We're gonna ask you, we're gonna ask you to do it this time. Please leave. Okay, so Jeremy's going to do an exact count on who's in favor, so we make sure we have the correct numbers.
So unless somebody left the meeting, which if online I can tell when you come in, you come out. We have 36 members present at this meeting here and now. So that would mean 30 in favor of the motion, 4 against, and 2 abstentions. So motion carries. Yeah, name the first number.
I just want you guys to know, this is just a letter coming from us. Do not stop the fight.
I didn't grab a copy of the agenda for myself. All right, so economic development, Joe Thompson, we spoke about the liquor license renewal for the establishment we're currently present in. And I know I already hear somebody talking about conflict of interest. I mean, it's always better to recuse. I think I've checked before. I think it's not a conflict for us to vote on this, but I mean, we don't have to vote on it. And I don't think any harm would come to Maestros for us not making a recommendation. But it's all up to the board, right? So Joe, you want to go ahead and talk about this issue? We have Maestros liquor license application.
I just want you to know that we're in Maestros. And most people know Maestros. I know Maestros for over 20 years. They supported our police, they supported our breakfast, and they made sure that they.
Joe, can everybody please exit if you're leaving? If you're leaving, please take it out and then close the door. Thank you for coming, but we need to continue. Okay, Brian, thank you. Thank you, Brian.
It's a true fortune of ours.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe, sorry.
Basically, well, I think everybody knows Maestros. Maestros has been in the community forever. As far as their liquor license is concerned, and as far as their reputation is concerned, as far as the help that they've given the police department, police council, our community, we have no question about their integrity. We have no question about their performance. My grandson works here, so he tells me the food's good. But I would not even. But so we have no objection, and we have no objection to Maestros maintaining that license. There's also one other thing that I'd like to bring up as far as Maestros is concerned. They're the ones who, a couple of years ago, decided they wanted to bring in school children, troubled children, and wanted to bring them here to have lunch on them. And we tried to do that, but that was very difficult because we couldn't transport them. No one would be able to transport them back and forth. So we couldn't do that. So what we did was, we had some of the star students of each school picked out their students who had done community work, have helped in the school, were good citizens, and they sponsored a luncheon here for them and their families. So these are the kind of things that Maestros does. And they come great for all of us. And they also let us at the youthful price, I think. But, so we have no objections. I make a motion, we have no objection. Maestro's license. Somebody seconded?
I agree. I agree.
Okay, any discussion?
Any extensions?
Or against? Discussion, Ken Galnick?
Good evening. I would like to try to understand the reservations that there, in a sense, we have a conflict of interest because we are here. I would like to try to finesse this. I'd like to present, so if you would let the motion say that because we are meeting here, because they've been so good to us, we cannot give a recommendation. Were we to give a recommendation, it would be of no objection.
So it's no objection versus a recommendation.
So I'm not saying we're getting no objection, because they have been so good to us and to the community, and because they have had no problems with it. Were we to give a recommendation, it would be of no objection.
So that's the motion.
Does that make sense what he's saying, Joe? Do you understand? So, yep.
So it's pretty good. So that's good, Ken.
So you're gonna amend the motion to, we're gonna send an email to the State Liquor Authority stating that we meet here, possible conflict, we want to avoid that appearance, but if we were to vote, there'd be no objection. So that's the motion, basically.
That sounds good to me, Jeremy. It covers all the bases.
We'll run the actual email by Ken before we hit final send, all right?
Let's do that. Straight.
Okay, so that's the motion by Ken, or by Joe, seconded by Ken, whatever. Okay?
Yeah, that's the motion based on information obtained from our attorney.
Okay, so does everybody understand? Any more discussion, or is that it? So you want to call a vote, Joe?
Yeah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? No? Unanimous?
Who's in favor?
No. It's unanimous.
Motion passes.
Great. So that's it for your committee, right, Joe? Okay.
Yeah, the new liquor laws, which is on the agenda. We found, and our committee found, that these requirements by the SLA did not go far enough. Because we're in the habit of visiting locations. We're in the habit of making sure these locations are safe. That they have two means of egress, that they have security if necessary. That they have the proper transfer system, the proper signage. These are the things that we go through when we investigate the license premise to make sure. The SLA did not make that part of their program, but it's an intention of our committee to maintain that and use that also within our recommendations for safety's sake.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Joe? All right, great. So education, culture, and youth services, Bernadette? Son.
We did have a motion that in education, culture, and youth services, but before I make that motion, I just want to point out a few things. Our minutes at this point will be online. There were just a few tweaks, so that will be those draft will be online. Also, the Yankee Youth Leadership Award actually has one more day for people to submit nominees. The deadline is midnight tomorrow, 10/28. So if anybody is here and they actually need an application, I can email or you can take it hard copy. So I want that to be also known, okay? This is something very important. It should come from all nominees. Okay. And there is another thing, on November 2nd is going to be our next education, Culture and Youth Services Committee meeting. And our speaker is going to be somebody, Ingrid Renderos. She is from BMCC in CUNY in the Heights. And there is a great program. I will be sending it out. It's called I Hope Program. And it's a full scholarship, including 100% covering childcare costs for single parents and guardians living in Upper Manhattan and the Bronx, interested in allied health or IT careers. This is a great program and a great opportunity for anybody interested in both those careers. I will post it. I will post it online, and I will ask Jeremy to send it out to the public. So, without further ado, the motion that was brought is a motion that Community Board 11 draft a letter to its elected officials requesting the creation of a community center for the youth of the Van Nest, Morris Park, and Powell Parkway communities. So I'd like to know if there's any discussion.
Question? I have a question.
Bernadette, I have.
Sandy, go ahead.
I wanted to know, could we also add in something possibly for a senior center, a combination of a youth and senior center?
Separate motion is preferred.
Yes.
Sandy.
Yes, I definitely would want a separate motion for that because we can have a list of things. But for the education committee, this is something that we felt is a priority for our future, which is our youth. So even though that would be a separate motion for another committee.
So Brenna, have you guys given any thought to meeting with Bronx House or the YMCA like we talked about in the past leadership meetings?
Nothing is moving further with that, but I would like right now for this to be a motion that to draft a letter to get things started. And yes, we can meet with the Bronx House to start. Suggestion was to try to get 1 or 2 evenings. That would be public night. That would be a part-time or a partial community center that's open to the public. So that is that would explore. That's our.
Anybody else?
Any other questions? Any other discussion? Okay, I'd like to know who is for this motion. Can everybody raise their hands?
I'm for this motion, Naomi.
I am for this motion.
So, yeah, so if we can now go to against or abstentions.
Right, so is there anybody against this?
Anybody against the motion or
Any abstentions? Okay, then the motion carries. Thank you.
unanimous? We forgot to put community development, so I don't know if we want to go to you now, Serena. Community Development Budget Priorities Committee.
So good evening, everyone. We're here tonight to we're here tonight to vote on the community board budget request and for fiscal year 23. Yes, correct. We're doing
So, yeah, we're gonna discuss it now.
So I'm just gonna go down the list of asks for 23. I just want to let everyone know that this is going to be submitted on Monday, the 31st. There was a public hearing this past week, Monday. So we were, we were time limited, but nevertheless, we did hear from the public and we did ask everyone to submit any requests that they had via email. So the final budget for 23 is going to be finalized by Monday, October 31st, 11:59 p.m. And so bear with me because we have about 23 capital budget requests, and we have 28 capital budget requests and 5 expenses. So the first would be to create a new or renovate and upgrade an existing public library. The second one is to reconstruct or upgrade a park or amenity playground. So all of these, everyone should have this. We're just, kind of going down the list just for good measure. But this is available on the Community Board 11 website. So everyone in the public has this. Renovate or upgrade an existing healthcare facility. We're also asking for transportation infrastructure. The priority number 5 is to renovate or upgrade an elementary school, PS 39, renovate or upgrade an elementary school, PS 105. We have priority number 7 is to renovate or upgrade public housing developments, and this is the East Chester Garden residential NYCHA building. We have priority number 8. We're gonna renovate, or we're asking to renovate or upgrade a public housing development, and that's another NYCHA housing. It's also supported by East Chester Gardens. Priority number 9, renovate or upgrade public housing development, another East Chester Garden request. Priority number 10, upgrade public housing development, evaluate and repair the roofs of the East Chester Garden complex, along with the water leaks and infrastructure in the apartments. 11 is to provide technology for PS 121. I just have to say, in regards to this budget, you'll see that some of the responses will say already funded. And because of the fact that, in truth, we are a bit behind, and the newly appointed chair, I have to admit that some of these things shouldn't necessarily be here because they've already been funded, and we are going to take them off, and it'll reflect the budget. We're also asking for a capital request for a dog park on Williams Bridge. We are also asking for the community, a parking garage on Williams Bridge. NYCHA houses East Chester North Pelham Parkway, someone has requested repairs. Another NYCHA facility on Pelham Parkway, they're requesting electrical lighting in the hallway, fixing the lobby doors and the landscape. What else? Okay, so I think I've covered, oh no, and then we have, yep, that's, we have 13 additional requests. No worries. And so we have a request for a community center Boys and Girls Club needed in the community. We also are, we have a request for NYPD program for the 49th precinct to increase funding for schools crossing guards. We have PS 481 and X 311 retroffed electrical upgrade for gymnasium. We have middle school needed within Community Board 11. We are asking for a return of Van Ness Library to Van Ness neighborhood, renovation of Van Ness Park extension, provide more youth and summer programs in Van Ness Park and Matthews, Montanair Park, NYPD program request for 49th precinct, and this would include more police needed to address and service chronic quality of life problems. Additional street lighting along MTA Road and the MTA Road runs a span of 5 blocks from Adams Street to Garfield Street. More pest control for rat infestations in the park. More health inspectors to investigate rat infestations in residential properties. Graffiti removal on commercial corridors. Trash cans needed on Morris Park Avenue. I believe, oh, and then we're gonna go into our expense requests. And that. Let me just see, please. So we have forestry services, including tree maintenance. Number 2 is entrance park safety through design and intervention and better lighting. Number 3 would be other public housing maintenance, staffing and management requests. We were also asked for the Pelham Parkway dog runs water filtration system. Someone noted that the system is actually outside of the dog run, and they're requesting that it be redesigned and put inside the dog run so that dogs can have access. And then we were also asked that we request more trash bins, or not just trash bins, but more larger containers that will house garbage that in a more heavily populated areas of parks and CB11 that kind of have barbecues, lots of barbecues and stuff over the weekend. These trash receptacles should be closed, and so I think that is everything that we were asked for and everything that we are working on.
So Burnett, and then Richard.
I just have a question on that last one.
Oh, sure.
Barbecues are not allowed.
I said barbecue, but I didn't want to use the word picnic, but where when people gather and have those things. Okay, so whenever there's trash receptacles that are completely enclosed, that's what they're asking for.
Quick question on the likelihood of all of these things passing. What is the likelihood? I'm asking leadership or taking it from one?
I understand I'm also part of leadership.
So hold on, somebody keeps, please, everybody who's online, please mute yourself, please, if you're not speaking. So we were having a conversation before. So Serena's new to the position. She's new to the board, right? So that's fine. So historically, this committee's been a one-person committee, right? She's new to the board, but she was the only one to volunteer to want to be on that committee. So hold on, let me finish. So short answer, it's always been me or John Prada and Sylvia Mazzella, Dr. Patel, one person, but she's going to change things. So all these requests, I know some of them, I think some people familiar with the dog run have said that to have the water source in the dog run will flood it like it does in Pelham Bay. So I don't know if you plan on just accepting everything you received. I don't recommend that. But also you did mention about, even though a project's been funded, they can defund it at any time until the project's completed. We should keep it on our list. And once they break ground, say it's a renovation like Eastchester Playground, then we can move it to continued support. Until the project is done, it's not done. If that makes sense, because they do move money around. Good. So I know we just got all these proposals. The other thing too, people like to harp on this one public hearing. I tell people all the time, you don't have to wait. You can submit year round, right? And there should be a dialogue, and we should, like for some of these things, we should go out and do site visits. Which, whatever works for you, I will make myself available. Okay. No, I turned it on, it's on.
So we did respond to an email for a site visit, so we intend to do that.
Yeah.
We would love to do the site visits, but the way I'm looking at it now is the ask is, it's an ask, and we should ask, and then figure out then find out what the city is gonna let us know. Determining, when they make that determination.
I just want to make sure everybody's okay on everything you spoke about.
So Serena, nice job with your committee. I know you're new, so we threw this on her lap like a couple of weeks ago. We said, here you go. Please do all this. Let's get it done a week ago. And we said, it's got to be voted on at this board meeting and it's got to be submitted by the 31st. We want you to do everything plus you're new. So it's really not fair. So what we're gonna ask is be patient this year. Next year, if she comes up to us and you're not great, you're like, hey, this is where we are. I'm like, all right, Serena, last year we gave you a pass. But, you know, again, thank you to your committee for coming up with what you came up with. So like you said, we asked, I know it's a lot. Next year, we're going to make it better. That's our goal. So we'll call for a motion to submit these requests and then have someone second it.
Yeah, whoever.
So seconded by Joanne. Do we have any further discussion on this? Any abstentions? Any objections? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Move on to the next item.
John Johnson, are you still here? Ethics and Disciplinary?
John Johnson.
Or Naomi Pemberton? Ethics Committee? If not, we'll move on to Sandy, Health and Social Services. Sandy, you still in?
Yes, I'm still on. What I wanted to say, our meeting was canceled the last minute. So we're going to have a meeting in November, but on November 14th, not on normal day because that would be election day. So we're having it the following Monday.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Health is over. Housing, Hazel? Hot mic.
I think I said everything I wanted to say tonight. Thank you.
Ken Galnick?
Land use committee had a meeting last, we thought it was going to be a public hearing and we thought the project would be certified. It has now been certified, finally been certified, so we will have to have a public hearing on it. That's what, I just want to compliment my committee because we had 100% percent.
Okay. Public safety, Veronica?
We didn't have a meeting this month, which is unusual for us, but we will be having a meeting in November, and I am hoping to have a guest, but I don't want to announce that, so we definitely have them there. So just keep a lookout on the group page and the group Facebook page, and I will put it up there when we know.
So as April said earlier, she was out. So I did speak to her today about having a meeting with sanitation department regarding alternate side parking. Is there anything else? Rabbi Transportation, Rabbi, you here still? Christian Amato, co-chair?
We did not meet for this month, but I hope to have a meeting this coming month of November.
Yeah.
You have a meeting and a public hearing. We do.
Well, right, yeah, we're just doing a public hearing.
Oh, just a public hearing.
Yeah, just public hearing.
And attendance is not mandatory, right?
No, it's not.
No, it's not mandatory.
Hello.
Hey, Rabbi.
Yeah, just public hearing. That is fine.
Okay.
Whatever.
Unless we missed any other committee, elected officials, I don't know if any the borough president's office is still in the meeting. If they showed up, I don't know if they did, or if they could. Go ahead.
Hey, good evening, everyone. It's Ish Gonzalez from the Bronx Borough President's Office. I just wanted to say hello to everyone. Thank you for your time today. I also want to remind everyone to fill out their EO forms and submit those back over to our office. And the monthly report was also forwarded over to all of the the board members. So if you have any questions about anything that's listed in that report, please feel free to reach out. I put all of my contact information in the chat. If you're in person, feel free to get my contact information from Jeremy. Thank you so much.
Okay, do we still have somebody from Councilmember Velasquez? Jackie?
Hi, Jeremy, and the rest of the community board and community members who are attending. Just a few things to discuss. I know that the comptroller brought up tax things. I also want to make sure that any homeowners are aware of the $150 rebate that is available to them. The deadline, if they have not already received it, is November 15th. Please feel free to reach out to our office if they haven't received it. And then, of course, we held our mammogram bus outside of our office this past weekend. But if anybody needs any additional information about getting mammograms, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so definitely something we've been working on. We're also, of course, working on outdoor dining and open restaurants, so please feel free to reach out to our office about that as well. Some rat mitigation issues came up today at the city council stated. Things we're working on. Quality of life issues are obviously important to us, so please reach out to our office. And anything else that anybody feels like they're experiencing or wants to talk to us, our office number is 718-931-1721. Want to make sure that everybody has that, in District 13 at council.nyc.gov. Reach out to us, and thank you all for attending this evening's meeting and for staying on for a longer meeting. Thanks so much.
Okay, Councilmember Felice's office. Is anybody in? If not, the mayor's office. I don't think they could come tonight. I don't remember. Public Advocate's office. I'm just going down the line. Oh yeah, is Riley's office in? Sorry, we left them off by chance? No, okay. So Riley's office, Public Advocate. We heard from the comptroller, District Attorney's office, or Ocasio-Cortez's office, Bowman's office, Biagi's office, Bailey's office. We're there.
AOC's office.
Bailey's office is here. This is
All right.
Renell.
All right, so we got AOC's first, Renell, and then I'll call on you if you don't mind.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time this Thursday evening. I want to make this quick. Earlier this month, the conversation held at town hall at Brockville High School. We had opportunities.
Okay. Okay.
Please, no interruptions.
Go ahead, continue.
We shared opportunities students in the district have with our office and talked about provisions in the Inflation Reduction Act that will help our constituents save money on prescription drugs and energy costs. The deadline for public service loan forgiveness waiver is October 31st. Nonprofit government workers should take advantage of this pandemic era waiver and potentially have all your loans forgiven. Separately, the Department of Education is accepting applications for student debt relief. Visit studentaid.gov to apply. Congress is in recess now, but we'll head back to Washington in November with the aim of passing government funding bills, which will hopefully include our community project funding request, including $845,000 for a violence interruption program at Jacoby Hospital, $1 million for safety improvements at Westchester Square, $200,000 for Birch Family Services to help students with special needs. Applications for both Service Academy nominations as well as our Congressional App Challenge are open. The application period for both are up till November 1st. And finally, we just want to let you guys know that our internship for our office is always open. We'll be starting the hiring process for the winter session in November. So please encourage students to come. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to bring to everybody's attention, since AOC's office is here, I unfortunately had to attend a funeral. I didn't have to attend it, but I had to attend it. There was a funeral earlier today for a pillar in our community. If you're not familiar who David Edelstein was, he unfortunately passed away yesterday evening. And I know his former supervisor, Brad Lander, specifically mentioned something I didn't really know about. Well, I knew about it, but I didn't really know about it, maybe. So during the pandemic, David kept the pantry, the Jewish Community Council pantry open, arguably the only one consistently open throughout the entire pandemic, especially during the darkest days, to the point where I guess AOC's office got somehow arranged for, or got him $100,000 towards the Jewish Community Council. So I know Joe wanted to say something about Mr. Edelstein, a very kind man who didn't care what color or creed you were, and he did everything he could to help you. So, Joe, do you want to say something now at this moment about Mr. Edelstein? I'll call it.
David Edelstein, he was a real pillar of this community. He was a great friend to everyone. I met David 20 years ago, 22 years ago. And he actually did that. He kept the pantry open and he had a lot of donations. A lot of people in the Jewish community donated to make sure that people were fed. But Dave did something that was really sensational as far as I'm concerned. There was a fire on Palmer Parkway and several families were displaced. And I was helping out one of the families and I went to David and I said, look, David, this family needs food. And they found a place to live, but they need food, they need help. He made sure that I had plenty of food to give to this family. But when I came to visit the family, this family also had found another place to live. And myself and the people I was working with, we didn't know how to move the new furniture into the other one. We were moving the food to the two drivers to help. They moved the furniture. Dave sent those people in that truck and moved those people. But over the years, I worked so hard with Dave has always kept his pantry open. Door was always open. Anytime I needed help from Dave Edelstein, I got help from Dave Edelstein. And he's a pillar of this community. He was a good friend, good man, and just a hell of a good guy. That's all I can say. I miss him and I will miss him. I know they're going to be sitting Shiva tomorrow. And we'll get a location on that probably tonight or in the morning. But the family will be, oh, we have it now.
Okay.
They will be sitting Shiva and the family will be entertaining people at their home. Yeah, it has to be. That's why I said tomorrow. It's good Saturday.
Yeah, so if anybody wants details can speak to me after the meeting. Yeah. Joe, do we have a quorum check? All right. Renell unless anybody else wants to mention anything, I know Christian worked with David and Ken. Renell from Bailey's office?
Hi, this is Renell from State Senator Jamal T. Bailey's office. So tomorrow we are partnering with Bragg with doing a Halloween haunted house. We encourage everyone to attend, especially bring your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews. It's tomorrow at 825 East 233rd Street, not too far from our office. It is from 5 to 8 p.m. I will share the content so you guys will have more information. Thank you.
And then, were you at our last meeting, Renell, in September here?
I believe I was.
Yeah, because our September minutes, there's an error. It said somebody else's name, not Renell's. So we should clarify that. All right, I'll correct that.
Okay. All right,
Thank you, Renell. Any other elected officials' office? If not, old business?
Yes, hi, Jeremy.
Oh, who's that?
Ornella.
Okay, Renell, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. I'm Ornella, and I'm from the Office of Assembly Member Natalia Fernandez. I just have a quick 3 updates actually to give. There's 3 events that our office is hosting in collaboration with other elected officials. One of them is going to be a Halloween event, which is going to take place October 31st in front of Big Deal Supermarket from 3 to 5 p.m. And 2 food giveaways. One is happening in Allerton Coops Community Center, 724 Bronx Park East at 2 p.m. And the other one is happening at Ridgewood Savings Bank, East 204th Street and Hall Avenue, also at 2 p.m. Thank you.
Okay. So unless there's any other electeds, we're now sharing the haunted house event online. Old business. Bernadette? Okay, old business. No. Debbie Colick, old business. Yeah, he's too close to it.
We want to bring up again about, cities to merge, transportation and sanitation. This whole past month, I've been requesting for a sanitation thing, and the month is now over. And I really think the 2 of them should be together anyway, because one affects the other in many issues.
Okay. All right, so like I said, we're gonna schedule something. We're gonna schedule a meeting. I spoke to her tonight. Any other, okay, new business, Bernadette?
Okay. Evening, everybody, again. 2 things. Veterans Neighborhood Alliance is having their monthly meeting on Monday, November 7th at 7 p.m. So we invite everybody to come. And also Veterans Day, which is November 11th. Veterans Neighborhood Alliance, East Bronx History Forum will have their Veterans Day remembrance. So, and that will start at 12:15 p.m. So all are welcome. And one last thing, if Christina Culpepper is still online, there was a special message that I'm saying it for the record. I have a request of information from you, so please send it via email. Okay? Thank you very much.
Ken? Veronica, one more.
On the other hand, for the Allerton International Merchants Association, tomorrow night we're having our annual pumpkin carving event. It's free to all the kids. They get to come out, carve pumpkins. We take some of the pumpkins and put them around the Bronxwood tree that stays there until November 1st. They also get to carve pumpkins and they get to come with them to their families. Also on Saturday, well, that event starts at 6 o'clock and it's at the tax time office. Saturday at 11 a.m. by the Forever Brothers parking lot on Williamsbridge and Allerton, we will start a Halloween parade. That's our annual Halloween parade. Walk up and down Allerton Avenue. We can chill and collect candy from the merchants, and we also have a little pizza party for them. Everyone with pizza afterwards. So anyone who likes to go, wants to join, please join us for the kids. Thank you.
I have some new business. Tomorrow night will be the first night. Tomorrow at midnight, we're going to kick off the Morris Park / Van Ness / Indian Village / Parkway South overnight patrol. We hire a security company. It's the Morris Park Community Association in partnership with the Alliance of Yemeni American Businesses. We've had 12 businesses broken into this year. We've had numerous. So there will be an overnight patrol starting tomorrow. We're going to kick it off at 4 p.m. tomorrow outside the Morris Park Community Association. News 12 will also be joining us later in the evening. They want to shadow the patrol to cover the patrol because criminals that know the area is being patrolled, hopefully they watch News 12 so they can say, you know, but that's all I have. Any other new business before I? Okay, so first, I want to thank members of the community for attending the meeting. I want to thank the community board members. Thank you for your time. I know it's like almost 4 hours of your time. Most of us got here very early. And I want to give a special thank you to Frank. Frank already left. He was holding down the door and making sure things stay quiet. So thank you very much. I'm sorry, the gallery session's over, unless you're a community board member. We're not. I'll talk to you after this meeting. So, motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right, any objections?
You mind coming up?
Meeting ended at 10:17 PM.
Okay, I'm sorry, it's very dirty, but I have so many important things. I'm doing a community cleanup at Bronx.
Take care, everybody.